Hi, everybody in the chat room.
We live.
There we are.
Hi, Armando. Hi, Mohammed. Hi, Robert.
Look at all these fine people.
Hi, Mike Kuipers. Hi, Lane. Wow, all these people. John. Hi, APG Show, whoever he is.
We've warmed up the car for you. It's ready to go for a drive.
That's weird. That's a weird thing to say.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
You're being weird again, Armando. We told you about that in the past.
Warmed up the car.
Yeah, that's a euphemism.
Boom, boom.
Waka waka
APG
bow,
is
wow.
live. Boom, wah, 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 wah. Okay.
Oh.
Well, hello, everyone. We are about to do a show. And we are Captain Nick, Captain Jeff, Captain Wikipedia from Mohammed.
Yeah.
Iraq.
Hi to our
hello.
biomedical scientist, Christina.
Plan B is Plan A, working in oncology clinical trials. Are they a lot like trials?
Yes, they are. So you don't walk as far.
I'm Michael Kuipers. We got
Hi
our
from Oslo.
Yeah.
Oh, the land of the most beautiful women in the world.
Okay. Let's just do a quick sound. Oh, let's make sure that we have this thing recording. Okay, it seems to be. Hang on.
My recorder started. Although last time the recorder crashed.
Yeah.
my mic.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that. I hope that doesn't happen again, where it starts messing up your mic. You sound fine so far.
Okay. So do you want? Should I just not start my recorder?
Yeah, just don't do it.
Okay. Good deal.
Just resist. Don't do
Resist.
Resistance is
it.
futile.
Resist you must. Resist you much. People that listen to a certain show that I listen to will understand.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. And be very
You
much
understand.
committed about.
Exactly. RESPCT. RECPSTT. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an insider joke. I'm tickled now.
Stephanie Plum is on her way.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Stephanie Plummer is on her way home. And she will be joining us in progress. Right, Steph? You want us to start without you? Yeah, I'm sure that Nick wants to start so he doesn't have to stay up until past midnight.
Oh, I don't mind. I mean, I speak rubbish whatever time of night it is. So.
No, you don't, Nick. Come on.
Well, I sometimes listen back to myself and go, what on earth were you trying to say?
That's the advantage of editing it. See, I can like snip little words that I've said and then I'll put it all together in a sentence. That makes it sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Brilliant. Oh, well.
Although it's not as easy as you think it is to do that. And so I don't really do that.
Stephanie Plummer is 15 minutes out. Well, it's hardly worth bothering for 15 minutes, but
Okay.
whatever you say, dear.
No. So I should wait, right? We should wait.
She
for her
says,
to get
start. Please start, she says.
there? Oh, she
So
says please
15 minutes out. Well, that's
okay.
about
All right.
10,000 feet at 250 knots plus a little vectoring. So,
I think she quite likes ambushing us halfway through. You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Well, let's just do this thing. Let me do a sound check. Okay, Liz. Get off my back. I know, I'm just kidding. But everybody else thinks that you're just nagging me and being a jerk. But
Who
she's
can
not.
blame her?
She's not really. No, I don't want you to be for real. For reals. I want you to be nice like you always are most of the time. except for when it comes to snide comments about the rest of the crew. All right, what was I going to do? I was going to play something. Ah, here we go.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the...
Okay, how's the volume on that?
Okay.
Good?
Yeah,
All
it was good. Maybe a tad on the low side, but it was good.
right. Okay. I'll bump it up. I'll bump it up a bit. All right, there we go. 7 after, you good with that, Liz? All right, here we go.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 468.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 16th of May, 2021.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, a British charter takes off heavier than expected because a computer glitch classified 38 adult passengers as children. There's no word on why an Air Force freighter caught fire just after landing at Joint Base Charleston. More news, your feedback, and today's plane tale, the A to J of aviation. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions, electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 468 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation.
New York City!
Oh, no, I mean 1010 wins in.
New York City!
I've already screwed up. Wow. Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based in Atlanta, GA. And joining me today from his studio, his mobile studio in Riverside, California, a world traveler, airplane mechanic, Breitling cognoscenti, fitness hound, and international air freight captain. It's Miami Rick.
Oh, that intro, just great. Thank you so much for all of that. I'm happy to be here. It's going to be another great show. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. We are looking forward to it as well, and also joining us from his studio in
Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
one of those, professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airlines. It's Captain Nick.
Hi, Jeff. And I've lost a lot of weight. I don't know if you've noticed. I've had my haircut. Hooray!
Oh, it's looking really snazzy. I'd
It-
say.
well, I thank you very much. Yes. The barbers are open here.
Well, that's great. And we can talk about it really, really soon. But now let's talk about some news. What do you think?
Excellent.
Let's do it.
Stand by for news.
All right, the first item in the news notebook, TUI plane in serious incident, in quotes, after every miss on board was assigned child's weight. And this is from The Guardian. And let's see, a software mistake caused a TUI flight to take off heavier than expected as female passengers using the title Miss, M-I-S-S, were classified as children. An investigation has found the departure from Birmingham Airport to Mallorca with 187 passengers on board was described as a serious incident by the Air Accidents Investigation Branch. An update to the airline's reservation system while its planes were grounded due to the coronavirus pandemic led to 38 passengers on the flight being allocated a child's standard weight of 35 kilograms as opposed to the adult figure of 69 kilograms. This caused the load sheet produced for the captain to calculate what inputs are needed for takeoff to state that the Boeing 737 was more than 1,200 kilograms lighter than it actually was. Investigators described the glitch, everything's a glitch, as a simple flaw in an IT system. It was programmed in an unnamed foreign country where the title Miss, M-I-S-S, is used for a child and MS for an adult female, Ms. Despite the issue, the thrust used for the departure from Birmingham on 21 July 2020 was only marginally less than it should have been, and the safe operation of the aircraft was not compromised. The same fault caused two other TUI flights to take off from the UK with inaccurate load sheets later that day. Yeah, so, weight and balance and weights and, that kind of thing are important in our business because performance is predicated on the weight of cargo, the weight of passengers, etc. And now I thought it was kind of surprising to me that they called this a serious incident because it doesn't seem like, 1,200 kilograms, it's like 2,600 pounds or something like that.
Yeah, it's a little over, yeah.
Doesn't seem like a huge
Yeah,
mistake.
and again, I'm with you on that, Jeff. The figures that we use for figuring out, the figures that we use to figure out, that's a good one, to figure out thrust.
Figures
are exactly are so conservative, and that this is not to take away from the fact that yes, the numbers were inaccurate because of the glitch, but. Like I said, these figures are so conservative that the plane was never really in any real danger. Where you run into issues is when you mistake your gross weight for your zero fuel weight and you put one in the other. So when you're doing your pre-flight, you have to be very, very careful to put your zero fuel weight value in the zero fuel weight line because oftentimes zero fuel weight is very much different from your total takeoff gross weight, and in that situation you can run into some very, very dangerous scenarios. A lot of them. One that comes to mind is that 340 out of it was Sydney or Melbourne, I forget, where they dragged the tail on takeoff, almost causing a serious accident down there. And from experience, when there are we oftentimes deal with what's called last-minute changes on the load sheet, and so basically what that means is that you'll have your printed load sheet or your load sheet sent to you via ACARS, and there'll be a change of passengers either up or down, and then the thrust adjustment for the change of weight is so minimal, really, that oftentimes the amount of thrust that you use is the same, and then tie onto that the fact that this is why we time our takeoff, like I always say, 80 knots at 20 seconds. It'll give you a good idea of what proper acceleration is, like I've said, over and over on the show. So, like I said, not to take away, but there was really no real danger to speak of here. I don't think.
But I can see it.
I have to agree, Rick. Sorry, Jeff, did I interrupt?
No, it was me. We were just
okay.
Sometimes with this internet thing, we can kind of get a little bit, our latency is a little bit off, so we end up talking over each other. We don't mean to. Go ahead, please.
Sorry about that. No, there's plenty of fat built into the thrust performance of the aircraft. The problem occurs really when you're approaching either max zero fuel weight or max takeoff weight. Now, those are limits you can't exceed. You shouldn't exceed. If you get airborne, that's really going to raise a red flag against the company if you've exceeded those limits. But as you can see by the serious attitude that was taken by the Civil Aviation Authority by calling it, a funny old thing, a serious incident, they do take misloading of aircraft particularly seriously, because if you put that 1.2 tons, or it could be like 5 tons, at the wrong end of the airplane when you calculate the loads. That can cause a serious trim problem. More practically, if you realize there's a problem on takeoff, you could always, select the rest of your thrust, go toga. That will cue your performance figures. But then as Rick will be well aware, on a long haul flight, if you're a little bit overweight and you're trying to go for 15 hours, by the time you get to your destination, that will have hit your fuel reserves quite a lot if you're a bit overweight. And you thought you might have had a bit of spare fuel, and you'll find it slowly eaten away during the trip, which can be a bit embarrassing. But no, in this particular case, it was a bit of a nightmare. I'm really concerned more about the quality assurance of whoever instigated this software, because really and honestly, this should have been picked up. You should put this stuff through a really rigorous check, because it's a safety critical calculation, and obviously it didn't quite find all the problems.
And perhaps that's why the AAIB did term this a serious incident, because it could have had quite an implication if the weights had been larger, the discrepancy larger. So
yeah.
Yeah, and then and just to cap this one off here, just rest easy knowing that the moment the flight crew enters the performance information into the flight management system is one of the most checked, double checked, and cross checked stages in the entire flight, because these figures are really what are going to end up giving you a safe takeoff and all the safety margins that come with that. So that portion of the flight, that's why it's really upsets me, it pisses me off when I'm in the middle of that very critical phase of flight, and I have mechanics come in, dispatchers come in, and people ask me, because I need to convey it with my meet with my first officer and really go through the numbers very, very, very intently and very slowly to make sure that we do it right.
It's one of the things I love about my new airplane is that all those figures come through our ACARs, and then we just punch a button and it just automatically gets entered into all the right places, and we just have to cross-check to make sure that it's good. But it's very important stuff. Well, hey, keeping along the same lines of weights and weighing. The next item here, Air New Zealand defends decision to start weighing passengers at Auckland Airport.
No way!
Yeah, weigh. Get it? See, I'm playing a little play on words there. You like that? No?
That was very good.
Thank you. Clever.
Sorry,
yes.
I was chuckling away, but I had my mic muted.
Okay. All I heard was just a bunch of silence. All right. I'll add the laugh track in when I do the post-editing. But, honestly, most of the time that's what I hear after I try to come up with something funny. Just silence. Yeah. Crickets? Yeah? Okay. There they are. Okay. Let's get on with this. Let's be serious here, shall we? Air New Zealand has been forced to explain its decision to start weighing passengers and their hand luggage before they board their flights, after some customers were taken by surprise by the policy, with some passengers worried that stepping on the scales would prove embarrassing. The Kiwi flag carrier was quick to point out that it must carry out a weigh week, no way, once every 5 years, to meet regulatory requirements set by New Zealand's Civil Aviation Authority. The designated weigh week is designed to determine the average weight of customers and crew, and the process got started at Auckland Airport on Wednesday. More customers at other airports across Air New Zealand's network will be asked to step on the scales as the weigh week continues. According to Air New Zealand's Chief Safety Officer, David Morgan, quote, "In order to fly safely and efficiently," I can't do a Kiwi accent. Can somebody do that? Nick, can you do a Kiwi accent?
No.
Okay. Rick?
No, definitely not.
Okay. All right, well then just pretend. Glenn's in the chat room. He's from New Zealand.
Yeah, ask Glenn to do it.
Pipe him in. Okay. In order to fly safely and efficiently, we need to calculate the weight, balance, and fuel requirements of each and every flight ahead of takeoff. To do this, we need to know the average weight of the passengers, crew, and cabin baggage. All data is collected anonymously, and results cannot be seen by the data collection team or other customers. One passenger who had taken part in the survey asked to be told his weight, but found out that the airline was so conscious about protecting customer data that staff conducting the weigh-ins couldn't actually see the data. So they couldn't tell that guy what his weight was. Anyway, so that's kind of interesting. They're kind of doing a little weight audit, and this was a thread on Twitter. John NYC, JONNYC says, or tweeted, "Have you heard anything about the FAA weight recertification? Apparently everyone is about to get 10 plus pounds heavier. Not sure it's major news, but there will be summer weight restrictions for sure. I'd assume this is for all carriers, not just American Airlines." And then there was a little bit more discussion online, and they were talking about advisory circulars, and I went researching that and couldn't find anything recent. I think the last weight and balance advisory circular put out by the FAA was like in 2019. And then LA Flyer on Twitter saw my tweet and said, give me or follow me and I'll send you some information. So he said, "Hello, Captain Jeff. Flight Ops sent out out to crews at United last week. I'm aware both Hawaiian Air and United currently conducting such weight surveys. The FAA has recently issued guidance that requires airlines to reevaluate passenger and luggage weights to obtain a more accurate baseline for overall weight and balance calculations. It's been many years since the current weight averages were established." Anyway, so it goes on a little bit more detail about this whole thing. So there you go. Looks like everybody's kind of resampling, and just to make sure that we're... Oh, that's true. Liz is making a very good point. Probably has something to do with the fact that, what is it everybody says, COVID-19 stands for 19 pounds or whatever that equals. And 19 kilograms would even be even more severe. Pandemic weight gain, maybe that's what they're concerned about. I don't know. But
no, I think it's just time. Quite honestly, the figures aren't updated very often, and none of us getting any slimmer. Very few people.
Don't talk for yourself.
One of the few exceptions.
Hey, I just got back. I just got back from a vigorous run myself. So,
have you?
Well, muscle is heavier than fat. So if I were you, I'd just get fat.
Oh, so you mean if I actually got some muscle that I'd even be heavier than I am now?
Yeah, if you replaced all your fat with muscle, you'd weigh a ton.
Well, that's why I'm not going to do that. Anyway, good points made. Okay, enough of the weighing stuff. Let's move on to something more interesting.
Well,
to
hey.
me, anyway. Let's see. U.S. Air Force C-17 Globemaster III transport aircraft caught fire on runway. That is not true. That is definitely somebody that doesn't understand the difference between a runway, a taxiway, and a ramp or apron.
Probably the same person calls it tarmac.
Yeah, or the tarmac.
Well, they could call it the concrete.
Let's see. In a release late Friday, Joint Base Charleston, JBC, said that there were no injuries following an incident involving an aircraft. They did not specify exactly what happened on the plane, but said that the investigation is underway into the incident. A video and photo have emerged on social media showing what appeared to be a C-17 airlifter on fire at the base on Friday afternoon. If you're watching the video version of our show, you'll see the overlay presented, and that is a view of the left underwing between the left main landing gear and the left wing root. Little bit of fire damage there. Let's see. From the Aviation Safety Network, it said that experienced a fire in the main left-hand wheel bay, probably due to overheated brakes. after landing at Joint Base Charleston in South Carolina. No one was injured, and the aircraft sustained substantial damage. Now, we have insider information. We cannot reveal our source, but said source said that they had heard, I'm not even going to give you the gender of this person, that
He has a secret name.
yeah.
Ketchup.
And
Ketchup is his source's name.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, I see. Oh, a sauce and source. I gotcha. Am I saying source wrong? Oh, okay.
No, it's just that where I come from, they both sound the same. Sauce and sauce.
Very true.
Okay. If you want to hear what Liz is saying, by the way, this is a good time to mention this because it's at the beginning of the show and people won't freak out. I hear Liz in my little earbuds, and the other co-hosts, the other crew members here, cannot while we're recording the show live. And so you'll, if you listen to the audio-only podcast, which most of you do, you will hear Liz at times communicating with me, and that's a lot of fun because Rick and Nick can't hear her at all, unless they listen to the show.
We feel completely left out.
Yeah, I know,
We
completely
can't
out of the-
understand why you're not doing anything at times.
Yeah, completely out of the
just
loop
like-
over here.
Is he having a stroke or is he just listening to Liz? I don't know. It's hard to tell the difference. Anyway, so where was I? We were talking about our secret sauce.
Yep.
Oh, I get it. Secret sauce instead of secret source. Okay. And speaking of sauce, looks like Nick is hitting some.
Oh,
was
Laura
that?
wanted to know. Sorry, Lee wanted to know what I was drinking tonight.
It's what is it called?
It's Black Sheep.
Black
Black
Sheep
Sheep.
Ale.
Yeah, a nice Yorkshire bitter from Masham.
Wow, Liz is in rare form today. Okay, so this insider, you're all dying now. Oh, well, come on, tell us
the
what
suspense
he
is
said.
killing me.
Or he or she said. He or she said that the crew had landed and had already left the airplane, and the flight mechanic, flight engineer, what do they call it? The crew
Loadmaster?
chief, maybe crew chief. I don't know, something like that, was there, and apparently one of the hydraulic lines split and was spraying hydraulic fluid into the area of the brake assembly. And since the brakes were still, warm, not necessarily red hot, but, they were still warm enough to ignite the hydraulic fluid, and that's what started the fire. But of course, that was just hearsay that from that source. So, anyway, but it's a good
Reminds
thing.
me of very early in the history of the A340, one of the hydraulic pumps which powers the cargo doors, and sort of switches on when you operate from the outside the cargo door. And then when you close the cargo door, it's supposed to stop running.
Yeah.
They walked away, left the airplane, the pump stuck on. And about like 6 hours later or whenever, it overheated and set all the hydraulic fluid alight, and the airplane was burnt, down to the hull line. It was written off.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's interesting because the fluid used for hydraulics on most at least airplanes that I know of is called Skydroll, and Skydroll has a relatively low flash point. I'm looking at here that says depending on the type of Skydroll that you have, it can vary between 104 degrees centigrade up to 177 degrees, which is really low.
Yep.
And brakes do get quite hot, so I can definitely see that being a possibility.
Especially when the fluid is aerosolized or whatever. Is that the right word? Aerosolized, and that becomes a really combustible, easily combustible.
Absolutely.
Okay, enough that military stuff. Let's get back to the.
Such a lot of military stuff. One grey aeroplane.
Well, we gotta throw that in there every once in a while. Let's see. News update. Swarajaya. I think the only reason why Liz puts these things in here is so that she can hear me pronounce the name of this airline, Swarajaya. Boeing 737-500 at Jakarta on January 9th, 2021. Last time impacted sea. Yeah, they're still doing the investigation on that. And on the 13th of April, the KNKT announced that the CVR had been downloaded. 2 hours of recordings were retrieved, including the accident flight. They stated that the NTSC managed to download all 4 channels from the CVR, but channel 4 on the cockpit voice recorder was disrupted. However, based on the existing records, it has added important data for the investigation, which results will be presented in the final report. So that's good, because that was one of the things that we had talked about on the show, that they'd found the module for the CVR, but no, not the module. They found the CVR, basically the housing, but they couldn't find the memory module, and so that was found. That's good. So hopefully the data that they have recovered from it will aid in their investigation. Okay. Continuing on, this is an interesting one, I think. The final report is out from an incident. This is from the Aviation Herald. A Singapore Airlines Airbus A380-800 registration 9 Victor Sierra Kilo, Quebec, performing Flight 231 from Singapore to Sydney, Australia, was on final approach to Sydney's runway 16 right when the aircraft encountered wind shear. In response, the crew commenced the wind shear escape procedure and went around while descending through 1,300 feet mean sea level. Air traffic control instructed the crew to turn right onto a heading of 270 degrees. The crew read back the heading, but omitted the direction of turn. ATC did not correct the incomplete readback. The crew turned left instead of right. Yes, please. There we go. There's an overlay here of parallel approaches, 16 left, 16 right at Sydney Airport. So basically a southerly direction that they're landing in. And the 380, mind you, is on the right side of all that, the west side. And they were instructed to turn right to a heading of 270. And I think most of us here on the crew, even if they had not said left or right, would probably turn right, because that's the shortest distance to heading 270. It would be kind of unusual if they told us to make a left turn all the way to 270, I think. But anyway.
Although it does happen, it happened to me the other day at Dallas. The guy wanted me to turn, the long way around to a certain heading. I was like, we had to ask, make sure that that's what he wanted.
Right, and they'll usually kind of emphasize that too, right? They'll say turn left.
I would expect a UK controller to say it twice. Turn right, say again, right onto heading, because it's an unusual direction.
Absolutely.
Let's see. A potential loss of separation occurred with the Dash 8, they were on final approach to the parallel runway to the left, 16 left. ATC instructed the A380 to immediately turn left and climb, and instructed the Dash 8 to immediately turn right. Did the scissors maneuver, looks like, and thus maintained separation between the two aircraft. However, another conflict arose because behind the Airbus A380 was a 737 on approach to the right side. But that conflict was also resolved. The A380 positioned for another approach to runway 16 right and landed without further incident about 23 minutes after the go-around. The final report by the ATSB, Australia's Transport Safety Board, concluded that the probable causes of the incident were the flight crew misheard an air traffic control instruction, likely due to a combination of the high cockpit workload associated with the missed approach and their expected turn direction. Was that expectation bias? Is that the terminology for that?
Yeah, expectation confirmation bias.
I guess the missed approach procedure, I'm not sure about this, but it must have a missed approach that goes left.
I was wondering about the same, because if you've briefed a missed approach and it happens to go left and you're told to turn, chances are you're going to have that in the back of your mind, so that you're going to be expecting to turn left. The go around guidance will be telling you to turn left. If air traffic tell you to turn right, you really need to take that on board. And they're right. There's a busy few moments in a go around as you're accelerating and trying to clean the airplane up in fairly short order. There's a lot of commands going back and forth across the cockpit. It would be a time when it would be relatively easy, I think, to miss that.
Hey, staff, look up the ILS approach to runway 16 right.
Actually, I'm looking at it right now.
I know. I could see Rick. I knew exactly what Rick was doing, and I'm thinking, okay, this will be a perfect time to do the staff thing.
Yeah.
All right, what does it say, Rick?
Says so the ILS 16 right missed approach says track 155 at track 155 degrees at 600 feet mandatory. Turn right to track 170, climb to 3,000.
Okay, that's still pretty much straight ahead.
Or as directed by ATC. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. Well, so much for their excuse then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I've got a question here. The crew are doing the go-around because of wind shear.
Yeah.
So all my wind shear recoveries involved
Straight.
wings level and climbing straight ahead.
Straight ahead. Yeah.
Until you're absolutely clear. So, one, why are air traffic giving them a turn in the first place? From the diagram, we don't know what extra traffic there is around, but the diagram seems to indicate that straight ahead is a safe place to go. And two, why did the crew accept a turn if they were still doing a wind shear go around?
Maybe they had completed the wind shear escape maneuver and had stabilized. I don't know. It doesn't really.
Yeah,
from what I've read
it
so
is
far,
possible.
I don't know. Yeah.
But they seem to indicate that these was all happening while they were doing the go around, and the cockpit load was high, which indicates to me that they're still doing the go around.
That could be, and you're right. I think every wind shear escape.
I love a
maneuver.
nice
I just call it
windscape.
windscape because it reminds me of the ocean. Like this is a
That's
beautiful
why your
windscape.
first ulcers are, I don't have any hair left.
Huh? I don't get that either.
Oh, they're pulling their hair out.
Oh,
What's a
just flying
windscape,
it.
Captain? What's a windscape?
Just shut up and say yes, sir. It's a great name. Wind shear escape maneuver always is wings level because you want to get all those lifties, in the
Yeah, all
upright
those Bernoullis going
locked
upwards.
position.
Yeah, not only that, but you want to leave the configuration of the airplane the way it is until you
Yeah.
are, out of the wind shear situation. Because if you think about it, you go to put the landing gear up, and then the doors cycle open, and then that
More drag.
introduces extra drag, and then you could end up in a worse position than you otherwise would. So you just leave it alone, wings level, straight ahead, and just fly out.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I think we're all on the same page there. The other contributing factor here from the report, the flight crew omitted the direction of turn during the readback, which was not corrected by air traffic control. The absence of the readback correction by air traffic control, combined with the misheard turn instruction, resulted in the aircraft being turned in the wrong direction. So they're not letting ATC off the hook here either. So I guess, lesson learned by pilots and air traffic controllers.
Indeed.
All right. Very interesting. Was there a tantrum in the tower, Liz asks? There may have been. There may have been. Just so happens to be the title of our last episode.
Yeah,
All right.
tantrum in the Triad Tower.
In the Triad Tower, tantrums
Yes.
every day. Anyway, check it out. The artwork, the cover art was brilliant by our cover art genius, Captain Nick Anderson. All right, continue on with 1G. French lawmakers,
I'm always
last-
flying at 1G.
Yeah, well, I
Sorry.
try to be as well. Last week, we heard of the mayor of that small town in France basically cutting off all funding for anything to do with promoting aviation for children. And now we have French lawmakers approving a ban on short domestic flights. I think they're just trying to get rid of aviation in France. And man, before long, we're not going to have Airbuses. Right? Because isn't that where they're made mostly? Yeah. Or put
In
together?
France. Well, they're made all over Europe. I mean, we make the wings.
Put together in Toulouse.
There are bits
Well,
made in Germany.
They're put together in Mobile, Alabama, too.
No, that's true.
That's true.
And somewhere in China.
That's true. All right. Well, anyway, French lawmakers voted late on Saturday to abolish domestic flights on routes that can be covered by train in under 2.5 hours as the government seeks to lower carbon emissions even as the air travel industry reels from the global pandemic. The measure is part of a broader climate bill that aims to cut French carbon emissions by 40% in 2030 from 1990 levels, though activists accuse President Emmanuel Macron of watering down earlier promises in the draft legislation. You know, you just can't make anybody happy anymore. The vote came days after the state said it would contribute to a 4 billion euro, 4.76 billion dollars, recapitalization of Air France, more than doubling its stake in the flag carrier to shore up its finances after over a year of COVID-19 travel curbs. Industry Minister Agnes Pannier-Runacher dismissed criticism from the aviation industry that a pandemic recovery was not the time to ban some domestic flights, and said there was no contradiction between the bailout and the climate bill. We know that aviation is a contributor of carbon dioxide, and that because of climate change, we must reduce emissions, she told Europe One Radio. Equally, we must support our companies and not let them fall by the wayside. Oh, kind of a paradox there.
They seem to be mutually exclusive, those two
they
aims,
do
don't
seem
they?
to be. It's at odds, I'd say.
Yeah.
However you say that in France, at odds. Air traffic may not, that's not probably anything close to what they say in France, but
Sacré bleu.
at odds. My apologies to all the French people listening. Probably aren't many, but we're sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, so there's been a lot of discussion about this, and I think that people were saying, well, okay, I think that somebody was, I think it was a brilliant person that happens to live in the UK. His name is Neville Bounds, was making a point on the Sochmeads that that's ridiculous. What about, somebody traveling from, let's say, John F. Kennedy International in New York to Charles de Gaulle in Paris and Paris. And they have all this stuff, all this luggage, and in Nev's case, probably a bunch of equipment and stuff. And then they have to, somehow get all themselves and their equipment to a train station or whatever. Liz is saying, okay, just disappeared. Sorry, I just saw one of those little notifications in the upper right-hand corner of my screen, and it went away. Okay, I'll cut all this out. Anyway, what was it? Oh, hauling all this stuff over the Atlantic Ocean, getting to Charles de Gaulle, and then having to find a train station or get yourself transported to another means of transportation to get to your final destination. And apparently the legislation says, well, that would not be banned. I guess they're just talking about like intra-French short flights, non-feeder flights. Thank you, Liz. And it turns out that it's not really a very high percentage of the domestic flying. So it's not as
there's no doubt
severe.
that France has a pretty impressive high-speed rail network.
That is true.
There's no point doubling up with aircraft when you've got a really sophisticated and capable train system that's fast and comfortable. Why have them compete and add to the carbon? But there are should be plenty of destinations still left to an aviation market. And if the infrastructure is missing to join up all the dots so that you can get from A to B, well then stick with aircraft. I think you should be able to work it out in the long term.
Well, in our live audience, Sebastian via Facebook says, there is a total of 5 routes affected by this currently, and those do not perform so well. So most likely this is a sort of political marketing stunt. What? You're saying that this might have something to do with politics?
It couldn't be. No
What?
way.
Come on, Sebastian.
That's crazy talk. Crazy talk.
Now, this is Sebastian of the Air Crash podcast.
Never heard of it.
More of Sebastian and Sarah later.
Oh, really?
just
Oh,
kidding.
very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yep. We'll
I listen
hear
to
a
that.
lot about
That's good stuff.
the podcasts that they're engaged in, and the really low quality guests that they're inviting. to be part of it.
Scraping the barrel. Yeah.
Scraping the bottom of the barrel. All right, let's continue with this serious incident, a Boeing 757-208 WL. I have no idea what that means.
Surely you can't be serious.
I can be, and don't call me Shirley. Flight 440. This is, by the way, Icelandair, a 757. Flight
Is
440.
that flight 440 or flight 1440?
Oh. Well, I'm guessing it's going to be 440 because
Yeah, I think you're
it's
right. I found a 1
Icelandair.
somewhere else, and
Yeah.
a 1 looks like a 1. Okay.
But
I'll just
you're right.
wonder.
It does look like a 1. I just made the guess and went for 440.
You guessed well, sir.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
probably that's ICAO's Icelandair's ICAO ID, probably Foxtrot India. I'm not sure, but that's.
I'll
what
bet you're right. The Aviation Herald always puts in the aircraft identification abbreviation or whatever you want to call it, and I always drop it out because nobody says, "Hey, I just took DL 1563 to New York," and you go, "Huh? Oh, you mean flight 1563? Yeah, that's what I mean." Okay, let me step down from my soapbox. Flight 440 was rescheduled for departure from Keflavik at 8Z on February 23rd, 2017 to Manchester Airport, Echo Golf, Charlie Charlie. Did I say they were rescheduled? What did I say? I think I just said something wrong. Anyway, they were scheduled for that departure. The flight crew had not seen any significant meteorological information, SIGMETs, before the flight, but he knew. Okay, the crew, and then he knew. Okay, the crew knew that it would be windy. An additional ton of fuel was added for the flight. Okay.
Oh,
Good.
how brave! Adding a whole ton.
Good. You know, but at least he's thinking about adding fuel. You know, there's a thought there. Come on, give him at least
Okay.
partial points. You know. The takeoff was delayed due to de-icing of the aircraft, which is going to eat into some of that extra fuel. From the scheduled takeoff at 8Z per the flight plan, the actual takeoff was at 8:33. The weather forecast for both Manchester Airport and the alternate Liverpool Airport were above weather minimums. However, the SIGMETs, the significant meteorological information, were in effect that were forecast to pass over the destination and the alternate airport at the estimated time of arrival. Whoops. The takeoff from Keflavik Airport, the climb, as well as the en route portion of the flight were uneventful. The commander was the pilot flying during the flight. During the descent towards Manchester, a preceding flight had gone around twice due to wind shear and elected to divert. The flight crew of Flight 440 then informed Manchester Radar that they were entering a holding pattern. The flight crew of Flight 440 completed 1.5 turns in the holding pattern at Rosen at flight level 110, discussing the situation and the option of diverting to Liverpool Airport before deciding to attempt an approach to Manchester. The flight crew also decided that if they could not land at Manchester due to the high wind condition, they would divert directly to Liverpool Airport. The flight crew informed Manchester Radar of their intentions. During the approach, the aircraft encountered moderate icing. The aircraft was vectored to the ILS for runway 23 right at Manchester Airport. The flight crew then contacted Manchester Tower, received clearance to land on runway 23 right. According to the commander, the aircraft encountered severe turbulence on final approach. At around 800 feet, it was clear that the approach could not be continued due to the turbulence. Then the flight crew advised Manchester Tower that they had executed a go-around. According to the flight data recorder, Flight 440 had just below 4.9 tons of fuel remaining. Now, for a 757, That's what, approximately 10,000 pounds, Rick? Which is
Yeah.
4.9
So,
tons.
so on the 7.5, 7.5
I mean,
is
those
slightly
things
less.
are, yeah, those things are pretty good with fuel.
Yeah, and it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon to land with 8 to 9,000 pounds of fuel left
Yeah.
on these things, even on the 7.6.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you start getting into windy situations and your alternate airport being right next to your destination airport, and they're both socked in, then,
wait. You're giving it away, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, wait. We have more to the story.
oh, there's more. You don't say.
Yeah. Yeah, well, here. The flight crew commenced a go-around on runway heading, climbing to 3,500 feet. Then they diverted to Liverpool.
There you are.
Then they contacted Liverpool radar and advised they were ready to start the approach. They instructed the flight crew to turn right again to heading 230, cleared them for the approach to runway 27. They configured the aircraft for landing and selected flap 25. According to the commander, the aircraft encountered severe turbulence on final approach. As Rick was just mentioning, that weather system is covering pretty much that entire region. And, of course, they have the same kind of weather at Liverpool. Passing 1,000 feet, the wind was around 73 knots, and at around 800 feet, a wind shear warning initiated. The flight crew of Flight 440 advised Liverpool Tower that they had executed a go-around due to wind shear. According to the flight data recorded, Flight 440 had just over 3.9 tons of fuel remaining. Okay, we're getting lower on fuel now. According to the commander, after a go-around was initiated, the flight experienced heavy turbulence in addition with a low-level altitude capture, which resulted in both altitude and airspeed exceedances. Okay, that's no good. The flight crew of Flight 440 noticed that they were reaching their minimum diversion fuel of 3,664 kilograms at this time. They had 1,950 kilograms to burn before reaching final reserve fuel of 1,714 kilograms. They contacted Liverpool radar and informed them that they were becoming low on fuel and requested an alternate to the alternate in the vicinity. Around this time, the commander called an experienced airline pilot, which he knew was traveling on the flight, to the cockpit. So, deadheading pilot or something in the back.
Put
Calls
your
him up.
wine down, will you, mate?
And
Can you
would
give
you
me a hand
mind
over here?
taking over for me? I need to use the restroom.
Yeah,
And
that's
good luck. We're all counting on you.
I love it.
The commander did this to have an additional trained pilot with a fresh mind in the cockpit. Unless, as Nick said,
Exactly.
Hopefully, he wasn't imbibing too much. The commander, as well as to assist with locating airport charts in the library stowed under the jump seat, as ATC had been giving options on alternate airports, such as Leeds, that were not in the database, the computer database. Later on, Liverpool radar informed the flight crew that Leeds Airport could accept them, and the flight crew of Flight 440 replied that they would like to go to Leeds. The flight crew did not find any data for Leeds Airport in the LIDO database, nor were they familiar with the airport. Scottish Control was asked for runway information and ILS frequency. The flight crew, meanwhile, reviewed their options. They were down below the minimum diversion fuel, and Leeds Airport, which they were unfamiliar with, was now at a distance of 50 nautical miles. They made the decision to commit to Manchester Airport, which was closer, as they were familiar with that airport. It was very windy in the whole area. So they went back to Manchester, which was their original destination. Manchester was much closer than Leeds. Okay, I just mentioned that. The flight crew contacted Scottish Control requesting to divert to Manchester with a fuel emergency. Now we're up to, things are getting a little bit more stressful because the fuel is evaporating. Well, not really. The engines are burning it. Manchester radar then vectored the flight for an ILS approach to runway 23 right. Manchester Tower informed the flight crew that a departing aircraft had reported a positive wind shear, a gain of 15 knots on departure at 1,000 feet. According to the commander, the aircraft encountered severe turbulence on final approach, and the autopilot had difficulties maintaining localizer and glide slope. The flight crew configured the aircraft for landing and selected flap 25. And then they finally, landed at Manchester Airport. According to the flight data recorded, Flight 440 had 2.7 tons of fuel remaining. This was 986 kilograms above final reserve fuel, or about 20 minutes of flying time before using the final reserve fuel. Conclusions: causes inappropriate selection of an alternate airport considering the meteorological conditions. They're assuming that they considered the meteorological conditions. Flight plan did not highlight the SIGMET information included in the flight documents, and the flight crew did not notice the significant meteorological information.
Oh, so
in the
they,
pack.
they had the SIGMETs, they just
Yes.
didn't read them.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yes. You are correct, sir. Yep. Whoops.
Right. Oops. Yes.
Yeah. So, happy ending. A little bit stressful. Probably took a couple of years off everybody's life up there in that cockpit.
Yeah.
Oh, Liz thinks that the crew deserves the below 50% banner.
Yeah. And they should have had another 5 tons of fuel on board. But other
Yeah.
than that, I think they did a fine job.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I tell you, and I can, from experience, whenever I see, whenever I fly to Miami and I see my alternate as Fort Lauderdale, I'm like,
Yeah. That's
like,
a legal alternate, and that's about it. It's not a realistic one.
Exactly. And so
just for the
it's,
paperwork.
it behooves you to make sure that things are kosher at both places. And you can, however, end up with a little bit more fuel if you have a more distant alternate airport, and consider a closer alternate airport and use that fuel to loiter around a little bit. And
Oh,
let
that's
things
a
get little
good
better.
trick. I used to employ that one regularly.
We've all done it, and
Yep.
Rick and I can continue to do so.
Yes,
It's a dynamic situation.
Exactly right. But if you don't have the fuel for it, then no, man, I can imagine the stress level in that cockpit. It must have been not very nice.
I think they had to order 2 more cockpit seat cushions because they were sucked up into the bodies of the.
It's the worst situation in the world, really, when you find yourself in a really awkward spot, and they were in an awkward spot, and you're just running out of gas because you think, what the hell do I do now? Well, he did. I think he made a very good decision in the end. Why he actually tried to go to Liverpool in the first place, I don't think that was necessarily the best decision. But staying with Manchester or going straight to an airfield that was a bit further away that had better weather. But no, it was a large weather system, and the chances are that he would have had to go way up into Scotland or somewhere to have found good conditions. So I think stick around for a bit. Hope the weather improves. Sound like it did a little bit, but eventually you've just got to live with it and make the best of it you can to get the airplane down, and looks like he did a good job.
And as far as the overspeeding on the 757 on the go-around procedure, it has to do with the way the automatic pilot and flight director system work during the go-around maneuver on the 7.5 and the 7.6. It's not like the newer Boeings or your Airbus variety where at a certain altitude you just engage a vertical mode and you have all sorts of protections. On the 757, 767 at 1,000 feet you do what's called a spin up. So you'll spin up your altitude, your speed control, knob or selector to whatever speed you want to fly the go-around at, and then once you get to that go-around altitude, you'll hit flight level change, go to climb thrust, and then go to autopilot in command. So the entire procedure is hand-flown until you select your first vertical mode, which is in this case flight level change. So you can't plug an autopilot on until you have both a lateral mode and a vertical mode, and until you hit flight level change, you don't have those 2 modes. So the entire thing is hand flown. That's why it can lead to that, especially when you have turbulence and updrafts and downdrafts and all sorts of things. So that's that.
All right. Well, again, happy ending in this case, but perhaps something was learned by this crew and all of us who are kind of talking about it after the fact. Okay, continuing on. UPS, electric planes, and we have a video as well, but don't play the video yet. Thank you. Let's see. Here's the headline. UPS explores ETVOLs, part helicopter and part plane. Uh-oh. Not only do they get the pictures wrong, but sometimes they actually get the letters in the wrong order on these headlines. This is from the Associated Press. You would think that somebody would have caught this. That's VTOLs, vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. So just thought I'd point that out.
You mean you don't take vertical off?
Well, maybe. Probably has nothing to do with airplanes, though.
Okay.
Anyway, UPS is buying 10 electric vertical aircraft from Beta Technologies, or Beta, as it looks to get items to small and mid-size markets faster. And so, with that, I think maybe this would be a good time, Liz, to play the little video from UPS.
Call it the future of shipping. Electric planes soaring through the skies with your packages. And get this, there's no need for an airport. UPS plans to use the planes to connect rural and mid-sized cities, areas where packages may usually take longer to arrive. In this illustration from UPS, you can see the planes taking off vertically from shipping warehouses. They fly at 170 miles per hour and land directly at sorting facilities, meaning your packages arrive faster with what the company calls a minimal impact on the environment. So Juan, does this mean that some people in parts of this country will be receiving their packages faster?
When you start bypassing, all the manual handling that takes place, you create efficiencies in the network. Not only that, you also start moving the network at a faster pace.
And UPS isn't the only one planning to use these ultra-quiet planes. The U.S. military is also on board.
It's a logistics mission of moving water, medicine, goods, medical countermeasures over the hill, short range, super efficient, low cost, actually replacing, in the case of the military, some high cost ground transportation.
The planes can fly for about 250 miles. Its batteries charge in about 50 minutes. Beta, the company developing the planes, says the aircraft will be autonomous within just a few years. The ultimate goal? To start moving people.
And as we move forward and deploy things in the logistics world, we of course build millions of hours of flight time and have thousands of vehicles deployed so that when we get to the passenger mission and we put 6 people in this aircraft, they're super comfortable flying in local regional trips.
Until then, our packages will be the guinea pigs. UPS plans to start flying these planes in 2024. Gio Benitez, ABC News, New York.
The ultimate goal? To get rid of those pesky pilots.
Absolutely.
Uh-oh.
And those pesky gas-guzzling engines. Glenn, when this pitched up on social media, made a lovely comment. He said, it's always 5 years away. It never seems to get any closer. Every time you see one of these, it's like 5 years in the future. And I noticed
like when you're driving the family station wagon and you ask your dad, how close you are.
We there yet?
Five minutes away. Just 5 more minutes.
And when you ask an engineer, how long is this going to take? 10 minutes.
Just 10. That's
always
true.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
No, but I mean,
I love
overall, I don't like where this is going.
I love the way they're talking about the military capabilities, and it's all humanitarian aid. There's no ammunition or rockets or anything that's going to kill someone involved with this at all. It's only water bottles and medical stuff.
It's probably because we already have that.
But having said that, I like the look of it. It looks kind of cool, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I like the fact that the video showed a pilot actually flying the darn thing.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing a very good job, though. That's probably why they're going automatic.
It would be much more accurate without a pilot. Anyway.
Having said that, I don't think I could ever buy an aeroplane from Beta Technologies. I'm sorry. I'm just going with beta testing is always something that's not finished. You're testing the beta version or
that's
something.
A good point. Yeah,
so I'm just wondering why on earth they would change it. Yeah.
We have decided to change our name to Alpha Industries.
There you go.
All right.
Exactly.
We're ready for release. Okay. Yeah, I'll do this one. Actually, I added an extra one. I didn't tell you, Liz. I have 2 more to go here. Yeah, sorry about that. We did have a meeting yesterday, and no, I didn't. I just threw it in there this morning. So, anyway, report: Air Canada 777-300 at Paris on the 24th of July, 2019. Ground agent was injured by a tow bar, and this is from the Aviation Herald. And Air Canada, I just told you all that. Basically, this was a pushback incident. The flight was being pushed back from the gate. Nearing the end of the pushback, the aircraft was almost on the center line of the taxiway when the tow truck reached its maximum turn angle. The flight crew heard a noise they believed was caused by shearing one of the tow bar pins, and the tow truck stopped. The tow instructor alighted. I guess that means to get out of the vehicle. And the tow truck, or he got out of the tow truck and initiated the sequence to disconnect the tow bar. When the draw pin connecting the tow bar to the truck was raised, effectively disconnecting the tow bar, the aircraft moved forward. Wonder why. One of the tow bar wheels rolled over the tow instructor's right foot, trapping the instructor, and the tow bar suddenly unhooked from the tractor and hit the instructor's right leg. One of the tow bar's shear pins was found fractured. The following factors may have contributed to the accident: a misunderstanding. I was going to do something here. It was a report by the French. Don't say it. Here it is.
Bureau d'enquête et d'analyse.
Yeah. That was me. I recorded myself saying that earlier.
Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a very nice, sexy voice you've got there, Jeff.
Well, you want to hear that again?
Bureau d'enquête et
Yeah.
d'analyse.
Thank you.
Whoa, very husky.
They said that factors that contributed to the accident: a misunderstanding between the tractor driving crew and the headset operator. I always get a little bit, I know this happens a lot of places, but most of the time, in my experience, the person with the headset, the one to whom I'm communicating, is also the person who is actually operating the tractor or the tug. And I think that's the best way to go. But there are cases where you're talking to one person and then the person driving the thing is a different person. And there have to be really good communication skills involved to prevent a problem like this one. The lack of a briefing, they didn't brief, may have resulted in this misunderstanding that was also between the personnel of two separate companies. So I guess these people were from two different companies. The headset operator is expected to initiate procedures in the event of an anomaly during the pushback operation. As this agent was unaware of any anomaly, the immediate application of these procedures, including the request to apply the airplane parking brake, may have been compromised. And let's see, the headset operator's late action in asking the crew to apply the airplane parking brake as soon as he saw the driver's instructor initiate removal of the tow bar, despite this surprising him and him not fully understanding the reason for this action at the time. So the sequence of events usually are they push us back, and before they make any attempt at all to do anything with the tow bar, they'll say to us, the captain, please set your parking brakes, or parking brake set, or whatever. And then you will say, at least at Acme, we say parking brakes set, cleared to disconnect. And those are the magic words for them then to disconnect the tow bar and such. And apparently, because of the tow bar shear pin breaking, that threw them all off, and they forgot to ask the captain to set the parking brake of the aircraft, and that's why the airplane moved a bit, and then caused some other issues here. And yeah, so what do you guys think?
Yeah, not only that, but also at the beginning of the pushback, you want to make sure that your communication is such that the person doing the pushback knows that the brakes are released, because otherwise you can damage the aircraft that way. And so the same way over here. You tell the guy, your brakes are set, clear to disconnect, and then and so when the guy tells me to that the pushback is complete and to set the brakes, I always count to quick count to 3 to make sure that especially when the person on the interphone is not the person driving, make sure that the pushback has in fact ended, and that the aircraft is not moving prior to me setting the parking brake, to make sure that there's no damage to the aircraft. And but then again, the procedure is the same as yours, Jeff. Yep.
I look out the window. They say parking brake set or whatever, and I look outside, wait for a couple of seconds, and make sure that the airplane is definitely not moving, and then I set the parking brake.
Exactly.
The crew said right at the beginning that they heard a noise that they thought the tow bar had broken. Well, I'm a little bit confused why they didn't pop the brakes on right there and then. Were they worried that it might not have broken?
That might have that actually may complicate, make the situation worse.
Might have done.
Yeah, it depends on, because basically this thing was about a 90-degree angle at that point, and depending on the airplane and the hydraulic system and everything else, you got to be very careful with what you're doing with the jet. I would, if I were like rolling back and looking outside and the tractor was still stationary, then I'd probably gently put the brakes on.
Because we can't actually see the tug. We can't see much at all, which is why we never have the headset guy in the tug. The headset guy is always out on the side of
so
the
you can see them.
aircraft, so we can see him.
Exactly right.
And he's keeping an eye on both the tug and the wing walkers as well. So he's in overall command. It does change, but I've never heard of. Well, actually, I have. I guess if we had one of our engineers doing the headset, and we had a handling agent driving the tug, they could be from different companies. But the whole point of when you set these things up is that you make sure that everyone's got together beforehand, the companies, and establish standard operating procedures, so that everybody knows what to do in the event of it's not an unusual thing. I've broken a few tow bars, not me personally, but had them break. So it's not like it's unheard of to have them not sure of what to do when the tow bar breaks. I'm going, really?
May I tell you my story? And I think I've mentioned it a couple of times in the 12 years I've been doing the podcast. We were pushing back. I was a first officer at the time on a 727, pushing back from one of the B gates in Atlanta, and the tug was like, you could hear the engine, and it was going. It was like, and you could just feel that there was some kind of resistance, and you're thinking, the first thing we do is look down and make sure we don't. I said the parking brakes were released, but maybe they weren't, and no, I don't have the brake on. Then all of a sudden the airplane goes, and we got a big bump, and then we're traveling very quickly backwards, and we look out the front windows and we see the tug, and we see he's holding and he's got the headset on, and he's holding the headset cord, and it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. The slack is disappearing from it because we are traveling faster than the tug is. So in other words, the tow bar breaks, and we are now on our own. And I remember the captain looking over at me and goes, "Well, what do we do now?" I said to him, I think we put the brakes on, but be very careful, because the 727, as I mentioned, I think even on the last show, we talked about the air stairs on the thing as a structural thing, and the CG on that thing on the ground is very sketchy, and you have to be very careful about going backwards and putting the brakes on and then just setting the thing on the tail. And luckily, he was able to just nice and gently stop the airplane. But it was like when we talked about it afterwards, thinking, this is something they never talk about or tell us about in training. Nobody ever talks about something weird like. So what happened was the chocks were in. They forgot to remove the chocks, and so he just kept pushing the airplane, and the main gear tires actually went over the chocks, and then from there it was just a chain reaction. But Wait, what do I see? What do I see here? It looks like from her. This is the problem I always have here when this happens. I got to go to my little intro script here. From her lakeside studio in South. Doctor, skydiver, marathon runner, strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument-rated backstabbing jumper dumper. It is Dr. Steph.
Hey, Captain Jeff. Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt the story. I was quite enjoying that one. You could have continued. So
No, I didn't want to keep you waiting. Come on.
It's all right. It's all right. I kept y'all waiting. So.
And a guest of honor here today.
No,
right?
no.
Well, somewhere you were. All right.
Yeah, not here. Somewhere else.
Okay.
But
well,
yeah, my apologies for being tardy. But
no problem. We're just happy to see you. Happy to have you at all. Right. Little Steph is better than no Steph at all. That's what we always say, right, gang?
If you say so.
Yeah. Hi, Steph. How was the rap?
Hi. How was the what?
The rap.
The rap? Yeah. It there was no actual like rap involved. So.
Oh, okay.
Was,
we'll talk about
the food
this
was
later.
tasty nonetheless.
Good.
Nick is just a little confused.
I know. We'll straighten him out. It's okay.
Okay, good.
I expect nothing
All
less.
right. We were just talking about this tow bar incident in
Yeah.
Paris.
I gathered as much. So.
Got an injured person on the ground because of improper communication and no briefing of procedures and all that jazz. So, as we always say here, it's real communication is very, very important. So, or important. Okay, let's see. O1K, the last one in the news folder. I know we had a lot of news this week, but sorry, I guess. And the reason why I mentioned this, it didn't happen too long ago, and we keep hearing over and over again about this Denver to, Honolulu flight. United 328 it was a 777 that had the engine failure on the right side, the right engine. And I for some reason, I got this email. It's some kind of a PR thing, a press release from Clifford Law Offices today, Friday, April 16, filed 2 lawsuits in Illinois against United Airlines on behalf of 2 passengers who suffering significant trauma stemming from a flight that experienced a fiery engine loss while traveling from Denver to... That's not even a good sentence there. They've done something grammatically incorrect.
I wonder if one of them is used to be a pilot for Qantas.
Well, I think maybe.
They were just taking a nice holiday. Because they were...
I wasn't expecting anything terrible to happen on my flight.
So, okay, these are passengers. We can kind of give them a little bit of a break, but not the pilot, sorry. Okay, Flight 328, Boeing 777. Okay, I love the reason why I wanted to read this is listen to this lay person explain what happened in this incident. Was en route to Honolulu when 4 minutes after takeoff, an explosion occurred and the right engine was engulfed in flames. Of course, we know that the cowling of the engine came off and basically revealed pretty much what you'd see anyway when the cowling, you don't normally see the engine in the fire because the engine, guess what, is on fire all the time. But okay, we'll give them a break on that one. Pilots were forced to turn back to Denver as passengers witnessed the plane on fire on the right side of the wing, and the engine reportedly was missing.
You don't say.
Yeah, it was missing.
Where had it gone? I saw all the videos. I remember seeing an engine there most of the time.
Oh, I don't know either.
Is no one else reminded of Airplane, like the guy in the counterpoint argument, the journalist, where he's like, they bought their tickets, they knew what they were getting into.
Good point.
I mean,
they paid for a ride, and by golly, we're going to give them one.
That's right.
All right. Pilots were able to land the plane with one engine. Whoa, you're kidding me. And then, let's see, the FAA has reported it and is investigating other planes with similar engines to see if the defect is widespread. The flight time of terror was 24 minutes before the plane touched the ground. They're seeking at least $50,000 in damages. And it seems like they're going for a pretty low number here.
Sounds like a pretty expensive plane ride. I mean,
yeah.
Did they spend that much money to get on the plane in the first place?
Well, I think what this is
and to
just enough
return
for
safely
them,
to the ground.
For the lawyers to get some money, for the passengers to get a little bit, probably $5,000 of that 50, maybe more. And this is one of those things where we all know what's going to happen. The airline is going to go. It's just cheaper just to pay the money, keep it out of court, settle.
Oh yeah, they'll settle out of court, but they'll negotiate it down.
Yeah.
saying, well, you wouldn't guarantee to get that amount of money, so we'll offer you 25,000.
I would have asked for a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
At
50,000?
least, jeez.
Really?
I know.
Come on.
Good luck.
Hardly worth it. Yeah, good luck. I can.
You know, at this rate, they're just going to do away with windows so that people can't see with the burning engines.
At least over the wings, right?
Yeah, if it had been a
near the
Dreamliner, they could have
engines.
just blacked out the windows, couldn't they? So no one could see anything.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
Yeah,
move
exactly right.
along.
Click.
Good point. All right. Well, finally, we're finished with our news. I think it was kind of fun. And it is now time for one of my favorite parts of the show, which is, of course, our Getting to Know Us segment. Getting to know all about us. Getting to like us. Getting to hope you like us, too. No way to fit in those extra words. I've tried. Can't figure it out. Anyway, probably should just stop singing. Probably the best thing. Okay, well, Steph, do you feel like you're settled in enough to start informing
Sure,
us?
whatever. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Oh my gosh, when did we do the show last, though? I have to think about that.
Last Thursday, so
Last Thursday.
just a little over a week.
Mm-hmm.
She's really having to think about it. So
I am having to
basically
think about it a
nothing
little
has
bit.
happened.
It's been no. There's been a lot that's happened. I'm just trying to
So
think
much-
about what is interesting and what is important.
It's all interesting
Let's
stuff.
start with today, and then we'll work our way backwards.
Okay.
So actually, let's start with yesterday. So I've kind of like hinted at things a little bit, but I'm actually switching practices. So outside of podcast life and personal life, work life, there are some changes taking place. So my last day at my job that I've had all of this time while I've been on the podcast and talking to you lovely folks out there was yesterday, and starting a new practice in a couple weeks here, doing exactly the same thing. A lot of people are like, oh, what are you gonna be doing? I'm like, well, exactly the same thing. Nothing's changing there, just different location, different company, different group of people, for a variety of reasons. But it's always sad when you leave someplace, especially when you've been someplace for a long time. So I've been a little busy trying to wrap things up there and make sure that patients are taken care of. So yesterday was the last day there, and then today, the reason I was tardy, I apologize for that. I did not plan to be, but some of the some of my colleagues and assistants that I've worked with for the past couple of years wanted to go out to lunch and brunch, and that started relatively early this afternoon, but a few of them were were not able to be there right on time, so that sounded delicious, Jeff.
Oops, I forgot to mute my microphone. Sorry about that stuff.
So, I felt like as the person who is there, and the whole reason we were all getting together was because I was leaving. If they were going to make the effort to stop by, I should not leave early. So I was a little delayed in getting here.
Very rude.
It would have been a little rude. So, I wasn't really planning to be there until like 4:00, but that's kind of what happened. So, unfortunately, I was a little bit late getting here. But it was nice that they, to see everyone outside of work a little bit, and to be able to have a adult beverage and chat, and be a little bit more relaxed, let our hair down, that type of thing. So, I'll miss having them as coworkers, and it's been wonderful being a part of that group for the past almost 8 years, just a little bit of time. So,
Boy, they're going to miss you, I'm sure.
yeah. I mean, that goes both ways, definitely. So
Yeah.
I'll miss working with them, and I'm sure they'll miss having me there. So I still have a whole bunch of stuff in that office. All my life has accumulated there over the past 8 years. I need to start to slowly clean that out as well. I was thinking about doing that this morning, but I also had an appointment to get my taxes done, so that took a little longer than.
Oh, yay. Love
Yes,
taxes.
I was very excited to do my taxes this morning, let me tell you. Find out how much I owe to Uncle Sam.
Oh man.
Yeah, just
Do
a
you
little
have
bit,
a
just little
day
bit.
in the year when you start earning for yourself as
Yeah,
opposed to
it's like end of March.
December 15th?
December 15th. You work all the way till December 15th, and everything from there to
kidding.
like the 30th is yours.
you have to,
Everything
you have
from
to
here
live
on
on the
out
last
is
2
mine.
weeks of December. Okay.
Yeah, so that was good. I'm working backwards here, Micah. Micah has reminded me that earlier in the week, did get a chance to visit with our friend Pasadena Brian. So he was here on Tuesday, and we were initially thinking about doing a show on Tuesday. He was like, oh, he was excited, like maybe he'd get a chance to be on the show, and then I had to inform him that no, we postponed things, unfortunately. So we really should have recorded something, because it sounds like he's had some interesting flying experiences recently, but he's
really
doing well,
have
and it was I know it was bad on my part. I'm sorry. It's like
That's
I,
all right. We'll let it. We'll let
I
it.
know.
We'll let it go.
I know.
Again.
Brian, Pasadena Brian, if you are listening, send us in, that feedback about what we were kind of talking about.
No. Don't encourage him to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, yeah, it was good to see him. And it was nice to have him in town. We did have a chance to get together and have a local IPA, and that was on Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday, I did get a chance. I was done a little bit earlier than usual with my usual office duties, so went down and did some jumper flying for a couple of hours in the afternoons. Not really my time to fly, but the chief pilot down there is nice enough just to let me either ride along or hang out and fly along with him. So it's a good experience always. I learn a lot from him every time I fly with him. So that was Wednesday and Thursday. Last weekend, not a lot of flying. Unfortunately, the forecast looked okay, but then Saturday it was cloudy all afternoon or all day, like low ceilings, and Sunday was very windy, like gusts up to 30 miles an hour, so not really great for skydiving operations. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to for the past week or so. It's been very busy, a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, wait a minute.
And some night cross country flying last night too. So it's been a
been
busy...
a couple weeks actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was just Nick and I last episode, right?
Yeah. What happened last
Yeah,
week?
and I was thinking when we were flying to Providence, which is the day that we recorded the last show, last week, Thursday. I was looking out the window and I was looking at the weather in the Charlotte area. I'm thinking, yes, looks really crappy, the weather. And my first thought was going, what? And then I explained, I said, well, that means that Steph won't be able to do her flying and that she'll be able to join us on the show.
Yeah.
But that didn't work out. I guess it was better than I thought.
It was better than expected there. So, yeah.
I said, yeah, it's not so great for her, but it's good for us. So
yeah.
I'm being a little,
Yeah. And I forgot that you guys did the show solo last week. But yeah, there definitely was flying last week. And man, it's I'm trying to even remember all the details of last week, but
all the things
it's been a little bit of a blur. It's been busy mostly trying to wrap stuff up at my day job.
Yeah.
And then add some flying into the mix on the time.
Flying
off.
is good.
Yeah, flying's always good. So.
Yeah, even throwing out parachutists at night, I was quite impressed with that.
No, that hasn't happened recently. The last time you were asking about that. We were.
Yeah, what were those pictures from then?
So Nick and I were having a conversation at 2:00 in the morning last night. Which is also why I'm like a little bit tired today. No. Myself and one of the other pilots, we so the 182 that is due for an annual, but it also hasn't come up against its 100-hour yet, so there's time on the aircraft there, right? So, like in the next 2 weeks, we could fly another 30-something hours before we either reach the 100-hour inspection or the annual inspection. You just have to pay for gas and a little bit towards maintenance costs of the aircraft, so not a big deal. So
mostly free.
I mean, reduced costs of flying if you wanted to take it. So the other evening we took it, or last night we took it out for a small cross-country flight over to Greenville, South Carolina, and had some dinner and night cross-country flying, and came back, and I was chatting with Nick after he woke up in the morning today, and I had not yet gone to bed, and it was quite late, so... We were not.
It was a little confusing. I was trying to figure out what was this conversation. What time is it?
It was
timeline.
I was confused.
Very early in the morning, Friday
you're not
morning.
usually up that late.
No, not usually. So hence my. I'm also kind of like, ooh, I'm tired at this point.
Yeah, I was just looking at pictures of Steph being fed pizza.
It looked like a really good pizza too.
The pizza was really good, actually. So Jeff has been to this. And actually, Rick too. Barley's Pizzeria and Tap Room, or Barley's Pizza and Tap Room. There's a location in Asheville, but they also have one in Greenville, and that's where we were last night.
Cool.
So, good pizza, but late night, definitely. It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's just that you have been confused, Jeff. Sorry, Steph, when you said that you were being fed pizza by the drop zone owner's wife. And I'm going, you're doing
swinging going on there.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not exactly what the messaging said. So I think Nick was also a little sleepy still. He was not quite awake yet.
A little groggy.
But yeah, sometimes night parachute operations do occur. They generally occur on full moon nights, which was not last night. The last one we attempted to do was on Halloween, but the weather did not cooperate.
Just don't say
that
seal.
I did not say that.
I know.
Someone say seal.
Oh no.
You said seal, Jeff. Come on.
I know. I messed up. No, not again. All right.
I didn't say it, so
I know.
You brought it up, not me.
Let's move on. It's my fault.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's always my fault. Steph, is there anything else? If you do think of anything else, please.
There's probably
feel
something
free.
else in there, and I.
Yeah. Well,
I can. My brain at this point only goes back like 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
But this has been good.
Good.
Life is good.
Well, we're so happy you're able to join us on today's show.
Yeah.
We missed you.
Apologies for being a little late today.
Again, don't apologize, please. Well, too late. You'd already
Too
did
late. I already
several
apologized.
times. Yes, as Liz just said in my ear, APG means never having to say you're sorry. Okay. I didn't know that that's what it meant.
Apologizing then.
Well, I'm going to apologize if I feel like I need to apologize. It's okay.
Where the APG stands for Apologetic Pilots Group.
There you go.
Okay. Rick, now you're not off the hook here. You were not there last week either, and I'm sure you have some kind of an excuse.
Well, the dog ate my homework and
I
couldn't
knew
find
it.
the keys to the house. And nah, I'm just kidding. Now cruising at flight level 400. Joined the fourth floor here. Turned 40 last week. So yeah. How about them apples?
40 years old. Let's hit some noise
Fantastic. Well done, sir.
Yeah, made
4 decades. Who would have thought it?
So old.
I know,
Wow.
old.
Oh my
old.
gosh.
Knees are hurting.
Yeah, time to take that ibuprofen and.
Exactly. So
What's
it was
that stuff that you
good.
take for your joints that you see everybody at Costco buying, like cases of?
Glucosamine and chondroitin.
No, glucosamine. That's it. Yeah, glucosamine.
Turmeric?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turmeric.
Whatever. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh man, no, it was good. So we had my parents. They live out in Virginia, so them and my youngest sister, who's also in the DC area for work, they came over to Phoenix and spent the week at the house, which was nice because I actually got in from a trip on the 4th. And then from the 5th to the 8th, which is the days off that I had, we kind of, just took it easy. Did a lot of grilling in the house. The weather was nice, so we jumped in the pool. We, drove around, did a little bit of off-roading, and just basically, spent time with the family. So that was nice. And then after that, headed back out on the 8th to begin the last bit of flying that I'm going to do in the month of April. And the reason why I had just, 4 days off between my last trip and this trip is because I did, I bid for 2 months worth of flying back in February. So I did a 60-day line. The reason behind that is that I needed a certain group of days off because obviously the birthday thing, and then in the beginning of March, I think it was the beginning of March, I also went through recurrent training, and so I do what's called a conflict bidding. So you'll bid your training over some flying, and there's some benefits to doing that. And so the only line that had all these days that I needed was the one I'm flying now. And so that's where I am now, been doing nothing but Hawaii out and back turns from Ontario and now Riverside. So I'll be doing that until the 23rd. And I tell you, I've 2 down, 2 to go. But this is the closest to being back on the 747 that I can remember, as far as being a little bit worn down at the end of the flight. I tell you, because we depart for Hawaii around about 4 in the afternoon, California time, and then we'll land in Hawaii in Honolulu about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the evening, and then so you obviously overnight to go to the hotel. And then the following day, you leave at night about 9, 10 o'clock at night, and then you land here in the West Coast about 5:30 in the morning. And so you don't really get. You have to manage your rest and your sleep very carefully to be properly rested for the trip back. And it's only 2 of us, because it's a flight that's less than anything less than 8 hours. It just can be flown by 2 pilots. Duty period up to 12 hours. So the duty period 12 hours, and the flight up to 8 hours. So just two pilots is what you need. So it does add up. But I imagine that by the time I'm done with this trip on the 23rd, I'm going to be taking a couple of days off, because I certainly need it. So that's what
I think that Nick could probably back me up on this one. I've heard, although I haven't done that much of it, that the jet lag going home from west to east, which is what you're talking about here, Rick, and what I used to do on the L-1011, and what Nick used to do coming back from the States back to the UK, is harder than doing it the other direction. Is
Absolutely
that true,
agree.
I agree with that.
It used to vary. It was just a bad time of the day, because you were going through the night flying eastbound, whereas flying westbound, it was a day flight. So that was obviously an awful lot easier.
It depends. If you're not the one actually flying the aircraft and you can sleep, then
we couldn't do
it's
that.
not so terrible. But maybe don't do that if you're the pilot.
So, Rick, you're basically doing the same kind of flying that I was doing on the L-1011, because we did not have crew rest facility. We didn't have, we were in the seat the whole time, and it wears you down. It really does.
Add to that, you guys were coming from Atlanta, so that's
it was even a little bit longer.
So,
and sometimes we go to San Francisco, sometimes we go to Dallas, and sometimes Atlanta. That's why I always bid for the trip that had the San Francisco layover on the second layover period, because I could kind of sort of recover, and it was the shortest all-nighter, from Honolulu. But I was exactly your age when I was doing it, and I was thinking to myself, I can't see myself doing this in my 50s, and at the time, retirement age was 60. I'm thinking, I don't know if I can do this when I'm in my 50s, because I was walking around Honolulu like in a fog, trying to shake my head and shake all the cobwebs out of my head. And I'm thinking, I'm a relatively young person here, and this is not good. Maybe I should look into doing domestic flying as I get older, which is what I'm doing right now.
I tell you, I'm loving the domestic flying, particularly the shorter type legs, and not having to deal with time zone changes of 6, 7, 8, 12 hours, and not knowing what date it is, what day it is, and
who you are,
What's your
name?
I don't know how you got here.
Where am I?
So
what hotel room am I in? Oh.
Exactly, and it still happens to me to this day. Actually, earlier today when I came back from the gym, I ended up going to the wrong floor, because I was just like,
you go into the elevator. This happens a lot. It's like, floor, and then of course, stupidly, I forgot to bring the little room key sleeve that actually has the number and the floor.
You know what I?
You probably just have like a collection of hotel room keys too. Now they're just like little credit card deals. You're like, well, I don't even know which one's the right one.
Exactly. What I do is I don't like to carry the little sleeve around with me, because it's got obviously the key and the room number. So if you lose it, you have access to everything. So what I do is I'll take the key out. I'll keep it in my wallet, and then I'll put the room number in the calculator app of the phone, and I'll just look at that. So
there you go.
Pilot
or some
life
people just
hacks.
take their phone and like just take a picture of the door, with the number
exactly.
on it.
So
I never think to do that.
I always forgot to turn the camera around and just take a picture of myself
Have
by
a
accident.
picture of There, let me look at my
Why do I have
phone.
all these random selfies?
there I am.
See what this kind of flying does to your brain? Come
Oh
on.
man, it's just I tell you, but it's good. It's nice.
All right.
I like flying during the daytime now. That's
Yeah, me too. You're turning into
You're getting old.
I'm getting old.
Well, that's what happens when you're 40.
I know. It happened overnight too. Don't feel this way.
It's
last
all
week.
just
down,
like that.
all downhill from here. Sorry.
I have so much to look forward to.
Yeah. Okay. Barely, young lady. Yeah. Rub it in. All right.
I got another year to rub it in, so I'm going to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know. So, Rick, good to have you with us again. We missed you, and happy birthday, belated.
Thank you very much.
Happy
indeed,
birthday.
buddy. Happy to be back.
Yeah. Okay. Nick,
Yes,
what's
sir.
up with you, man?
Well, I had a great time in the hairdressers, as you can see.
Ooh,
and I
look
had
at
it,
that.
Yeah, I know. I had it specially done in time for joining Sebastian, who was in the chat room earlier, and Sarah. They do their German. Hello, top of my head's disappeared.
Wait, you need to duck down a little bit because we're.
How's
There
that?
you go. Perfect.
So they do the very good German Air Crash podcast, and their English version, which they have now done. I think the initial intro plus 2. This was their 3rd, and we recorded a show talking about Air France 447, a pretty notorious accident, I should say. And that was great fun. They're a lovely couple of fine podcasters, and despite the fact they're working, both of them, in their second language, it went very well, I thought, and was very enjoyable. And they're alternating now. They do one German language, one English language, and the English language version that I was helping out on will be out on the 30th of April. And of course, I, as I've said before, wish them well with their new English version of Air Crash podcast called Air Incident Podcast. So if you want to listen, look for Air Incident Podcast on your podcatcher of choice. Now, possibly of more interest here in the UK, we've been I'm going to crank myself back up here. We've been...
That's kind of embarrassing. Hopefully we don't have any video of that.
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you, Liz. That was ideal. We've suffered the loss of a very senior member of our royal family. The husband to the Queen's consort, His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, passed away a little earlier this month.
Look at all
Not
those medals.
unexpected. Yes, I know. It's amazing. Not unexpected. He was 99 years of age, so yeah, he would have been 100 this year because he was born in 1921. Married to the Queen for 73 years, which I think was pretty impressive. But despite his amazing age, we've had a period of mourning in the UK and in the Commonwealth, come to that, because he was quite a remarkable chap. He was a young child of the Greek royal family. They fled their country following a military coup. And he grew up more or less stateless in Europe. He was a prince of both Greece and Denmark, but when his grandfather, Prince Louis of Battenberg, renounced his German titles to become a naturalized British citizen, Philip followed him to Britain and ended up joining the Royal Navy, now changed his name to Mountbatten. And he served...
Wait a minute, did you say that he has some Danish blood?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Oh, you know what?
absolutely.
That must be why he is so good looking. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I quite agree. Fine,
Those
hawkish nose, I
dames,
would say.
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, he fought all through the war in the Navy, in the Mediterranean and the Pacific fleets. In fact, he was present at the surrender of Japan. He was defending convoys, took part in major battles. Considered quite a rising star. He's one of the youngest lieutenants in the Navy at the time. Had great potential. He served as the first lieutenant on, a fast and heavily armed flotilla leader, HMS Wallace. He was mentioned in dispatches, and at the end of the war, he continued his Navy career, even after he'd met and married the King's daughter, Elizabeth. He was actually commanding his own frigate, HMS Magpie, and he'd taken a bit of leave to do a tour of the Commonwealth when the King passed away, and he became the consort to the Queen and placed on permanent leave of absence from the Navy. Now, as the Queen's consort, he had no official duties, but he had a great interest in many things, including aviation. The RAF taught him to fly in a Chipmunk and then in a North American Harvard. He earned his RAF pilot's wings. Sorry, I'm going to take a swig of beer here.
Excuse me, Liz, is this the plane tail that we're doing right now?
Nearly. He got his RAF pilot's wings, and then he became a helicopter pilot with the Navy, got his PPL in 1959, although his duties, of course, prevented him from staying current on aircraft he flew. He had considerable experience on 59 different types of aircraft and more than 5,000 hours. Very keen and capable on royal flights. He would frequently come up from the comfortable back end of the airplane to sit at the controls. He loved flying and only stopped in 1997. He was the Grand Master of the Guild of Air Pilots and Air Navigators, which he started that duty in 1952. He was the patron of the Air League, which is a charity promoting interest in aviation through scholarships and bursaries. And Buzz Aldrin, who he met, wrote of him that Prince Philip was an aviation buff and full of questions. Indeed, he was always a champion of aviation, and his presence in the air will sadly missed. Now, tomorrow is his funeral, and he himself decided in advance many of the details. For example, his coffin will be carried in a simple green military Land Rover, modified by his design, and the altar will be decorated with some of the awards and medals that were given to him around the world, and that he chose which ones he wanted to have displayed. But amongst all the gaudy ribbons and the fine enamel and precious metal, and beside his Field Marshal's baton, are just a simple pair of embroidered RAF wings. So I thought that was very poignant and a fitting tribute to him as a great aviator, as well as being a much-loved member of the royal family.
Awesome. Yeah. Quite a loss, but wow, what an amazing life and quite a long one.
Yeah,
Oh,
to
yeah,
make it to
we can-
to make it to 99 is no small feat, and
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very much the father of the royal family. The Queen is the head of the state, but he kind of ran the royal family and did a lot to modernise the royal family and to encourage and innovate. He was very keen on the engineering world, the world of design and technology. Took a great interest in many things. So I think he'll be very sadly missed.
Yeah. And you'll be happy to know, and probably not surprised, that even over here in North America, quite a lot of attention and coverage devoted to his death.
Yeah, I think he was a very handsome man and much loved. Despite the fact that everyone says he was a very direct speaker, knew a lot about, if he was talking to you, he knew a lot about your subject, and you weren't able to get one over him at all, ever. He was also renowned for making a few gaffes, which we all found very amusing back here, but of course the diplomatic circles weren't appreciated.
I thought they were funny.
Yeah, we thought they were brilliant. We always loved them. The newspapers used to make a big fuss about them, but we also thought they were great. Yeah.
I mean, though, can you imagine if newspapers were following any of the four of us around on a regular basis with everything we said or did?
Oh,
man, gaffes galore.
Absolutely.
So I can't believe it.
Absolutely.
GG. Gaffes galore.
But I think it must have been hard, that transition from being a very capable officer who could well have been the first, got to the rank of First Sea Lord, to become the Queen's supporter, just one pace behind her and helping her through all her duties. That must have been quite a transition for him. But one he managed marvellously, and I think, as the Queen has rightly said, he was her right-hand man. He was the man that helped her through a lot of her life.
Well, he'll be sorely missed.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
All right. Anything else, Nick? Anything in your life personally, other than the appearance on that outstanding air crash podcast?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my check from Sebastian. But
Sebastian's
I think
here
he's
on
in the
the
chat
live
room.
audience.
Yeah, I live in hope that my check will arrive. No, personally, no, not really. I ache in lots of places, but I'm trying to ignore it. I was chatting to the doctor today about muscle spasms, but hopefully, a bit diazepam might help.
All right.
It's a good muscle relaxant.
Yeah, I'll feel
Glucosamine
floppy on the
and,
next show. I feel like a jellyfish.
Alcohol does wonders as well. Somebody told me. All right. Okay. Is there a frog somewhere?
I wasn't sure if Nick was making fun of me. I definitely have the hiccups right now. So.
Uh-oh. That's good.
Your host has unmuted your mic. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
I didn't do it. Who did that? I didn't do it. Liz did it. She's fessing up. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to just a quick thing from me here. Since the last show, I finished up that trip that I was on that we recorded the last show on with over. I'm not sure what preposition to use. And had a short weekend full of singing. And then it was just Saturday and Sunday off, and then back out again on Monday for a 3-day trip with layovers in Tallahassee, Florida, and Tallahassee, no, that's Kakalaki. Tallahassee, Florida, and by the way, this restaurant, Harry's Seafood Grill Bar and Grill, has awesome crawfish etouffee. It was good. And
what do they do with the crawfish to make it a douffet or whatever you said?
They etouffee them.
Exactly.
What, do they sneeze on them?
Come on. I have no idea what they do.
I mean, I'm not a chef, but use your own imagination.
It was good.
I really do have that.
That's funny. Okay. Let's see. And I've mentioned it, I think, in the past that I was a guest on a couple of different podcasts. One called Hear Me Out, and also, let's see, Hear Me Out. Ooh, I picked the right direction. And the other one over here, Adventure Flying, the Icon podcast. And they have both been released in the last, today, the Adventure Flying show and our podcast, and Hear Me Out a couple of days ago. Now, I will say that the person who edited my audio in Hear Me Out sped me up a little bit. So those of you who are listening to the podcast in 1.5 or 2.0 speed, they'll be used to me sounding like that. I'm not used to hearing myself talk that fast, and it actually kind of raised my heart rate, and I think I almost had a stroke listening to myself, and I had to stop listening because I couldn't stand listening to that guy. But anyway, and that's pretty bad when you can't stand listening to yourself. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. Hear me out, convincing one of the co-hosts of the podcast that both of them needed to get their private pilot license. Exactly not what I was expecting at all, because I thought I was going to be giving them details. Remember, Steph, I mentioned that I was going to contact you and get all the information about
for sure.
how many hours and all that kind of stuff. And it turns out that they didn't ask me any of that stuff. It was
off the hook.
Kind of threw me for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
But it was fun nonetheless. There were a bunch of funny guys. And then the adventure flying, Paul Neihart, the host of that, quite a gentleman, and he did an amazing job editing the thing. And let's see, I think I might, let me just play just a little bit, like a little teaser of it. And then if you're interested in listening to it, then you can check it out. I'm responsible for all those people aboard my jet, all the passengers, the crew, the cabin crew, their safety. I mean, they're up out of their seats more than they're sitting down. And so I'm constantly thinking about what is happening with my cabin crew, the passengers.
Hi, I'm Paul. In this episode, I'll be speaking with the airline pilot guy, Captain Jeff, aka Jeff Nielsen.
There you go. Little tease. Okay. So thank you, the Hear Me Out guys and Paul, for inviting me to be on your show. It was a little bit different thing, and now I'm getting up there. You know, I'm getting close. I don't know, not probably not nowhere close to Steph's and Nick's guest appearances on other shows, but I'm trying.
Nick
wife.
far outweighs anything I've done on guest appearances on other podcasts.
Yeah, he's the king of guest hosting on podcasts.
I'm just a prostitute.
I mean, I was going to say it, but I figured I'd leave it to you to classify yourself.
Self-deprecation.
Or should I say a gigolo?
Yeah.
However you want to term it.
I know. I've only had like one beer. That's it. I know. Okay. At least since we started the show. I did receive something in snail mail. Oops, sorry. Is Dave Ogden here with us?
I haven't seen him. Was he earlier?
Okay. Liz says he was. I don't know. He may still be. Well, anyway, I hope he is, because I was going to meet up with him in Houston, but back earlier last month, I was not feeling 100%. And I kind of, said, I kind of begged off getting together with him last month. But he said, "Oh, I have something that I made for you, and I'll just go ahead and send it to you in the mail." I went, "Okay, cool." So he got a 3D printer for Christmas as a gift, and he saw this, what is it, instruction set? I'm not sure what you call it in 3D printing. Whatever. Okay. Thank you, Liz. She made me a single. Look at this. He made this on his 3D printer.
Ooh. What is it, a banana?
Very cool. No, it's a Boeing 717, a DC-9.
Wow.
And it's actually, you got to be careful. I kind of dry fit it's in sections. And I haven't permanently affixed the sections together yet. There's some tape and stuff like that. But anyway, I just wanted to show this to you on the show. Isn't that nice?
It's really cool.
I don't know if you can see the
It is fabulous.
Lovely, yeah.
It's flying around, but it's not making any jet noise.
Use your imagination.
You can do that for me if you'd like. I'm not going to fall for that one.
Are those jet noises?
That's so real.
That is very real. Stage 3.
I took lessons from an expert.
Okay. So anyway, thank you, David Ogden, for doing that for me. Much appreciated. And it came through the mail without getting destroyed, which is pretty amazing. Oh, Rich from Sheffield. How's that for a realistic laugh?
No,
can
I
almost
thought
see the
a
smoke from the
717 was an oil burner, not a coal burner.
That's right. It's a little bit more modern.
Yeah.
More
yeah,
advanced
come
than the
on.
Mad Dog, yeah.
Get your facts right, Rich.
A little bit.
That's okay. I can take it. All right. That is it for getting to know us. It's time to move on to the Coffee Fund and hit the sound clip. Thank you.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
Love coffee. I love tea. Come on, Steph, sing with me. Love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh, yeah. That is Jeff Smith. He's a great guy. He's written amazing jingles for all kinds of... He's the podcast jingle guy. So if you have a podcast, contact Jeff Smith. That's with a G, the go-to guy. Anyway, now I've just cut through all the time that I need for doing this. The Coffee Fund is your way to support the show financially, to buy, like get people to make nice little sound clips for your show. Anyway, Jeff Smith, did I mention him? Since we have a couple of different ways to join the coffee club and coffee bar club, and one is the Coffee Fund Classic method. And since the last show, we have these people: JJ Pittsburgh, George Leslie, Tom Seagraves, Rob Woolley, and Jenny Parkinson. They use the Coffee Fund Classic method for donating to our show. And we also have something called Patreon. You can become a patron of the show. And we have a new executive producer. Yay, Jeff. Oh, wait, maybe that's Jeff Smith, the guy that wrote this, who's singing right now. Probably not. He just goes by Jeff. He doesn't want anybody to identify him. Yeah, it's like Cher. Thank you, Les. Perfect. Yes, that's who it is. It's Jeff. And thank you very much for becoming a patron of the show. If you want to join this great group of people, please head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. And now, the rest. Oh, you know what? Okay. Yeah, we're getting close to the point at which we normally do the plane tale. And so instead of starting with feedback, let's go ahead and roll the old pilot's plane tales. And this week's installment is entitled The A to J of Aviation.
The old pilot's plane tales. The A to J of aviation. The language of aviation is treasured by those of us who use it, especially since it separates us from those poor earthbound souls who don't spend their lives with their eyes cast skywards, up to the heavens, muttering, "That sounds like an RB-211," or, "No, that's not a North American BC-1, it's a Harvard." However, in the spirit of fairness, particularly to spouses who stand impatiently eyes rolling as we converse with our AvGeek friends about how pretty that wedge tail is, here are a few pointers to help you join in the conversation. A is for aircraft. It could easily have been for aileron, the control surface that moves an aircraft around the longitudinal axis, a direction that's usually referred to as rolling, and is a common but useless maneuver performed in movies as a way to avoid air-to-air missiles. It doesn't. You're just going to die whilst rolling as you proceed in much the same path as you did before. Bear in mind that as you roll, a gyroscopic force is also at play and suitably precessed through 90 degrees unless the mass of your aircraft is perfectly balanced around the rolling axis and you have strong directional stability. It's going to make the nose yaw. This divergence will eventually cause your aircraft to swap ends, usually with the same result, being hit by that missile. Ironic, isn't it? No, A is for aircraft, because no true professional called his aircraft a plane, airplane, aeroplane, and the like. America, I have learned, has somehow become an exception to this rule. It's acceptable to be more specific, such as airliner, fighter, biplane, amphibian, airship, glider, gyrocopter and such, but in general avoid anything that ends in plane, such as jet plane, warplane, light plane, the one exception being sailplane. B is for bag, in particular a flight bag. Yes, I know it could be an F, but I'm writing this, not you. Pretty soon in your aviation career flying aircraft, you're going to want to look the part. This involves the complex process of acquiring a flight bag. Other professionals have tried to adopt this vital piece of luggage, travelling salesmen, doctors, international assassins and the like, but it remains a possession of and within the purview of only pilots. Although younger and more hip professional aircrew might sometimes have adopted a more casual approach to this vital accoutrement for a professional pilot. Messenger bags and backpacks might give an air of nonchalance and indifference to a young first officer, but it does little to inspire confidence, and passengers are more likely to think that it would contain a bong than a CRP-5. Please see the letter C. Only a proper flight bag looks good being carried by a uniformed airline pilot. A flight bag must be sturdy, but be a bit battered, giving an air of long service. It is carried, not pulled, and it shows the result of a little loving care. It should, however, never look new. It opens at the top, giving easy access to the contents, but nowadays probably contains little more than aviator sunglasses, a water bottle, sandwich, torch, and the all-important iPad, which has replaced the heavy tomes of Jefferson approach plates it used to carry. Stickers on a flight bag are sometimes acceptable, but as one moves up in rank, they should be less obvious and more significant, like ones from an old but respected airline that has gone to the wall, and a discreet union that puts the fear of God into management. C is for CRP-5. We all have one, but few can still remember how to do anything but the most simple conversions on it. To the uninitiated, the CRP-5 is basically a circular slide rule, known in the States as a slipstick, which to us British is too similar to slapstick, a form of low comedy. The slide rule is a mechanical analog computer that can perform multiplication, division, roots, logarithms, trigonometry, and exponents. It resembles a ruler, which was found to be awkward to use in a cockpit, so a circular version was developed for pilots and navigators, etc. Our circular version makes up for the lack of scales a slide rule possesses by having a transparent rotating disc on the back which can be marked by pencil, and when used in conjunction with the sliding plate will calculate drift and ground speed, etc. It also has conversion windows for fuel weight, true airspeed, altitude corrections and such. If you have a metal E6B, known in the Royal Air Force as a Dalton Computer Dead Reckoning Mark IV and nicknamed the Dalton Confuser, then you get extra marks. Don't be put off by the fact that Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan had them. They are harder to use than an app on your phone, but don't need recharging. D is for drag. Going to an airport can be a real drag, particularly when you're in a hurry. Check-in, security, immigration, getting through the maze of shops, queuing at your gate are all a drag. This phenomena is so well known that if you go on the NASA website and look for the page listing the velocity effects on aerodynamic forces at the Glenn Research Center, you can read that D equals constant times v squared. So if you attempt to double your velocity, your drag will quadruple. There is also a drag effect when actually flying, unless you've managed to blag your way into first class, which is immune to drag because of the sophisticated drag reduction devices deployed in the bar there. In aviation, drag is a real thing. Trying to go fast means lots of drag, which continually fight your efforts. A great deal of drag comes from the effort of flying, and for generations, aircraft manufacturers and designers have employed ways to reduce it, but it never goes completely away. Often a drag reduction, like having a nice first class, is balanced by an increase in drag in economy, often measured by the level of screaming. E is for empennage. If a non-av geek drops this term into a conversation, it'll go quiet and heads will slowly turn, revealing slack-jawed and wide-eyed expressions. But if you're the aviation infant in this group, hold your nerve and confidently follow it up with something like, yes, it needed to be sizable because it used to suffer from Dutch roll at high level. As far as you know, a Dutch roll might be a type of crunchy bread, ubiquitous in San Francisco, made of tender white bread topped with a rice flour coating that bakes into an incredibly crisp and crackly topping. And indeed it is. In the world of aviation, however, it's often bandied about, but trying to get someone to explain it usually involves a lot of squirming and then a visit to the toilet until the conversation has moved on. The empennage of an aircraft is a generic term for the tail assembly that provides control and stability in flight. It consists of the fin and tail plane, or vertical and horizontal stabilators in the States, which steady the aircraft in the yawing and pitching axes. The fin supports the rudder, which yaws the aircraft, and the tailplane the elevator, which pitches it. Dutch roll is a form of yaw-roll coupled instability that is common in swept-wing aircraft with weak directional stability and strong lateral stability. Disturbed in yaw, if slow to straighten, the aircraft will respond with the advancing wing rolling upwards. This increase in lift causes a corresponding increase in drag that now yaws the aircraft in the other direction, and the opposite effect occurs. The full cycle takes 4 to 6 seconds to complete, and if not corrected, it can amplify with each cycle, leading to disaster. A Boeing 707 test pilot once turned off the yaw dampers on an acceptance flight, and the handling pilot entered a Dutch roll so severe that it tore 3 of the engines clean off the wing. F is for flap. There are many kinds of flaps in aviation, the most common coming from the back whenever we have a little emergency. We all hope that the flight crew can keep it all together, but nowadays even that's not a sure bet. It's probably better if we consider the other kind, that is preceded by a descriptor like simple, split, slotted, double-slotted, triple-slotted, Fowler, and those are just a few of the rear ones. Flaps, be they at the front or the back, change the shape of the wing, allowing it to work better at lower speed, making it safer and easier to land. And it gives the pilot something to talk about on the way down. F also works for fuselage, the bit you sit in. Free stream, the air you don't influence by your passage, and F it, but mainly that's for the words used when the landing doesn't go quite as expected. F is also for flatus, something that is verboten in the cockpit, and follow me, 2 things that should be mutually exclusive. A follow me is a car, driven by someone who knows their way around an airfield, providing assistance to those who don't. Try not to follow him back to his parking garage. G is for GR. It's a code found in terminal aviation forecasts and meteorological aerodrome reports, which can beat your aircraft into a pulp. There's many a pilot who wished they'd been a bit more circumspect and circumnavigated their way around the circumference of a cumulonimbus storm cloud, which typically holds or precipitates GR. rather than blundering their way through it. When GR hits, the noise can be so loud and dramatic that speech is often impossible. Windshields crack, radomes are crushed, wing and empennage leading edges are dented, and navigation lights smashed. Indeed, anything that even comes close to protruding into the slipstream is fair game for destruction. If you're lucky, your engines will have survived the encounter and you'll still be able to see through your pitted windshield, although your aerials might have been destroyed, preventing radio communications or an instrument landing. GR is a good reason for giving CBs and thunderstorms a wide berth, since large ones can be devastating. GR refers to hailstones greater than 5 millimeters, that's 1/4 of an inch. That's just the minimum size. And remember, NOAA has recorded a hailstone that fell in Vivian, South Dakota in 2010 that was 8 inches across, over 20 centimeters, and weighed nearly 2 pounds or almost a kilo. GR can spoil your day. H is for hangar. This is the place to tell plane tales. It's where old pilots hang around, regaling anyone silly enough to listen with their stories of daring do, like the time they had nothing on the clock but the maker's name, and that was in Chinese. A hangar has a special smell, granted to it by generations of mechanics who have daubed its floor with a heady mixture of oil and aviation fuel, hydraulic fluid and dope, leather polish and paint fumes. It can be as quiet as a cathedral, and there is a compulsion to walk around gently in fear of waking the spirits of long-dead aviators. It should be made from corrugated iron sheets tacked together on an ancient wood frame, and should house a wonderful mix of bright, shiny, sleek, expensive aircraft with clear perspex and smooth, unblemished props. But in the darker corners there should be treasure. An old dusty relic of yesteryear, with half-flat tires, pistons sticking out of the cowling, a chipped wooden prop, oil-stained canvas, cables and turnbuckles in plain sight, and no radio, barely an instrument panel, but a wealth of memories written on its sagging wings. I is for incidence, particularly its angle. In aviation, it's something that every aircraft has. Some people refer to it as the mounting angle. Stop doing that. The angle of incidence is the angle between the chord line, the line between the leading and trailing edges of the wing, to the longitudinal axis of the fuselage. Put more plainly, it's how the wing is set or rigged when the aircraft is built. On a light aircraft, it's commonly around 6 degrees up, so that as you trundle down the runway, the wing is presented to the relative airflow at a positive angle of attack and, without too much assistance from the pilot, will start producing lift. For more complex aircraft, with advanced wing designs of variable symmetry, it's not so simple, as the chord line will vary all the way along the wing. An instance of variable incidence is rare, since most wings are securely bolted to the fuselage and will remain set for life, or a particularly bad landing. However, I'm sure the avgeeks out there will be already shouting, "Mignette pour de sel," and they would be right. The Flying Flea was an unusual little self-built biplane that employed a pair of staggered wings and no tailplane, so no elevators. Instead, the front wing was placed forward of the center of gravity so that an increase or decrease in lift would pitch the aircraft up and down. This change in lift was achieved by moving the front wing, altering its angle of incidence, thereby changing the angle of attack and the value of lift. It kind of worked, but then a lot of crashes meant that a lot of countries banned them. At the other end of the speed scale was the Vought F-8 Crusader. The Crusader was the last of the Navy's gunfighters, a supersonic maneuverable jet with 4 20mm Colt Mark 12 cannons as the primary weapons. It also carried sidewinders, which during the Vietnam War actually proved more successful at killing MiGs than the guns. What was novel about the Crusader was its ability to crank the leading edge of its wings up by 7 degrees to increase the angle of incidence for takeoff and landing. This gave an increase in lift whilst preventing an unacceptably high nose position to degrade the view out of the front windows. J is for jetway. J is also for jet bridge, jet walk, but not air gate, finger, gangway, air dock, aero bridge, sky bridge, aero gangplank, air tube, passenger boarding bridge, or expedited suspended passenger entry system, even though these perform exactly the same function. They just don't begin with the letter J. They are all movable connectors which extend from an airport gate to an aircraft, allowing passengers to get on or off without being exposed to the weather. Although I've been to some airports where the conditions in the jetway are worse than outside. Anyone who has walked down one can recall the excitement of nearly getting to their shiny airliner, only to turn the corner and have their expectations shattered when faced with a huge queue of grumpy punters also waiting to get on. Airports usually charge more for using jetways, so if you've been bussed out to see a set of mobile stairs on your aircraft, you're flying with cheapskate airways. Jetways are even used by astronauts, but I bet they don't get soggy carpets and adverts for HSBC Bank on theirs.
Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me?
Won't you sing with me? You know, I need to hear more about the angle of mounting.
Excuse me?
Did you say something about
No, that's the
Did you say
entire
something?
reason.
That's the next plane tail.
You
Jeff,
shouldn't
we're gonna
be using that
expand
term.
on.
Well, you said something about incidence and mounting, I thought. That's what caught my ear.
All Jeff
Yeah.
heard was angle and mounting. Everything else
Okay,
about
well,
whatever that was.
my
I said
forward line
some
Took
and-
off.
Some people call it the angle of mounting. Don't do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that part.
Yeah,
My bad.
Your eyes had already glazed over. Obviously,
I did. I started going off into like all kinds of, dreaming, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, great. I love that.
That was a good one. It was a good
That's
one.
too bad that we don't have any more letters in the alphabet.
We only did the J in the English alphabet.
Oh.
Well, I only got 20 minutes. Let's get on. I'm going to have to do the rest of the alphabet, which is actually a lot more, in the remaining 20 minutes, which is going to be hard work.
Good luck.
Oh. Good luck with that. Well, you can always, parse it into even smaller little chunks.
I could. You want me to do that?
I didn't say
up to
that.
you.
That would be
You're
a good
the-
idea. But we could.
You're the one in charge of plane tails here.
Yeah, you're the
That's true.
man.
Yeah. Well, it's
your
a
thing.
pretty easy one. I have to say that plain tale was prompted by our listener who wrote in last show, whose name was ABC.
AJ. Oh, ABC. Alpha Bravo.
Yeah, you see? So I went
guy.
It was
ABC.
AJ, A to J. That's why we only got those letters.
I thought it was a reasonable guess.
That was a reasonable guess. Actually, it wasn't bad at all.
Here's your challenge, Nick.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, speaking.
I don't know what those letters are.
Speaking of AJ, I mean not AJ, ABC, Alpha Bravo Charlie, we received some feedback from this person, and he sent us some video feedback, and let me share that with everybody. I think.
What a good segue.
V5. Yeah, perfect segue. Man, you're good. All right, here we go.
Hey everyone there at APG. Caught my first episode live today and thought I'd chime in, and you guys thought it was still April Fool's, but it is definitely not. listening here live from the Zeppelin NT, the Goodyear Zeppelin NT. It's a lovely little ship. I like listening to you guys' stuff. Just want to say keep up the good work. I initially found it when I had to drive Uber when I was putting myself through Part 147 school. Now I'm an A&P and work with Goodyear. I love it. Keep it up.
Is that awesome or what?
That is brilliant.
Awesome.
Now,
Wow.
look, opposing bases may have a listener in the Antarctic, but we've got one on the Goodyear blimp. That trumps the Antarctic.
Top that.
That's true.
So
absolutely, that is brilliant.
So, yeah, Rick and Steph, you missed it. He was in our live audience last week. He said, "Hello from the Goodyear blimp," and we're going, "Yeah, right."
Yeah, that's right. Pull the other one.
You guys are just so full of disbelief. You can't like.
I know nobody believes us.
Yeah, I was going, nah, come on. But
So
no,
he
it's
had to prove it.
true.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
very
you very
impressed.
much.
That's really cool. Really cool.
Alpha
yeah.
Bravo Charlie, thanks for sending that in. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And he's out
and
on
for
the
you-
West Coast.
And for your prompt for the plane tail.
Yeah, there you go.
Appreciate
It's
the
all your
video.
fault.
The video feedback too. It's really nice to see the.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was extremely
nice?
cool. Yeah.
like a little mini.
We're
tour.
hoping that it was okay for us to play that on the show.
Hopefully so.
If not,
Yeah.
oops, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about
I hope you can get a job at the other blimp company.
Which one is that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
the
other
MetLife one? Oh, no, wait. MetLife they got bought out by someone else.
The other ones, of course. A lot of them.
There's some military blimps out in the Middle East.
There's some
Yeah,
Navy
I used to
ones
I
that
used
are
to see them
tethered.
all around. I used to see them all around, tethered around the bases out there in Afghanistan. That was
Yeah, we
always
got them
interesting.
along the southern United States as well.
Yeah, yep.
Little restricted areas. Hey, is John Jester? He's usually with us on in the live audience.
have
Oh, he's
not
not with us
seen
in the
him
live
today.
audience.
No,
that's
I haven't
too
seen
bad.
them today. No.
He
Must
probably
be
gave
working.
up. He said, shoot, I sent
Yeah.
this feedback in a long time ago, and obviously they're just ignoring me. So forget them. I'm gonna go join the opposing bases live audience or the PTUK live audience. Forget those stupid people at APG. But we're gonna do his feedback anyway. John sent this in. He said, read the headline. So this is from, I think, something that he gets, he subscribes to, email subscription to Flight Safety Information, fsinfo.org, your source for aviation news.
More sauce.
Other
Is that
than
tomato sauce as well?
Source. See,
Sauce.
sauce. So Nick, sauce does not have an R in it.
Well, it's
Okay.
I didn't care. It said sauce.
Have you had
Tomato
food today,
sauce.
Nick?
Barbecue
I'm worried
sauce.
about your.
Yeah, I think the show
Pass
titles
the
are
sauce,
involve some
darling.
food here somewhere.
Would somebody get the nurse?
All right. Okay,
Pass
here
the
we go.
sauce, nurse.
Okay. So he says he really enjoyed this headline title from this Flight Safety Information Aviation News email thing he subscribes to. Yes, please throw that up there, Liz. Okay. Oh, shoot, the little thing up there that's blocking it. It says
Let's read it.
TUI Nederland B763 near Leeds on March 22nd, 2021. Flight mismanagement system. So that's Simon, the guy that does Aviation Herald, being funny. He has a good sense of humor. So John thought that was funny. Funnier than anything we do here, according to John. And so he sent
He
that
must
in.
have a pretty low opinion of our sense of humour.
He does.
Well, we set the bar low so that you can
We
raise it
do.
for us.
Exactly. We do that so that you actually think that you're funny. Listeners. Okay. Let's move on to this one. Dan said, this is number 5. Hi, Jeff, Rick, and the rest of the amazing crew. Oh, sorry, Steph and Liz and Nick.
Does that mean I get to leave now?
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can I get the rest of the day off?
He just didn't want to be obvious. In a private email, he said that he's just infatuated with Dr. Steph. I am so
well, that just leaves me out in the cold then, does it?
Well, sorry.
We'd be a little worried about Dad if he was infatuated with you, Nick.
Yes,
But,
yes.
Maybe not. I don't know. I could see it.
And that's not true, any of the things I just said.
What's not to love about Nick?
I know.
I've got a haircut after all.
If you know him as we do, there are lots of things that not to love about. I am a
horrible bad
based worldwide corporate pilot with almost a year of time aloft. So that means that he hasn't been flying for a year unless he's not gotten off the airplane since he started flying.
I know.
Let's see, what would be 1,000? So about how many hours in a year? I'm not even sure. Somebody,
So that's
staff, 365 times 24.
24.
Yeah. See if somebody can give us that answer. I think Rick is calculating it for us.
It's
Rick is
8,760 hours.
8,760. Wow, that's a good time. A lot of time.
That's a long time.
It's a good time.
Anyway, on the last APG, I heard Rick comment on the often misexecuted visual missed approach procedure for a climb to 1,500 feet on the runway heading for a visual approach missed approach. I pinged several other very experienced pilots, and none of them knew this was a required procedure. I did find in the AIM under 5-4-23E that for those operating under a controlled environment, go-around instructions will be issued. Since I'm always trying to learn and better myself, I would appreciate being pointed in the direction of where I can find the information on this procedure/policy that Rick mentioned. In the meantime, I am so thankful for all of the information, entertainment, and fun that the show provides. Keep up the great work. Kind regards, Dan Miller. And he is an ATP MEL COM, single-engine land, single-engine seaplane, multi-engine seaplane, CFII MEI AMP/IA, whatever that means, B757, 767, Gulfstream 5, RA390S, CE510S, G111 Albatross. Whoa.
Wow.
He flies the 818, the 607, and the 7393 as well.
That's good. Oh, wow. Look at,
I've never even heard of those ones.
Liz also is mentioning that he is also he's a DAD. A dad.
DAD.
Yep, see?
Yeah.
Look.
That's
There
a great
he
picture.
is with his kids.
Very
Isn't that great?
cool.
And I think that's
it's brilliant.
Albatross, I think.
That looks like the albatross there, yeah.
Dan,
Isn't that
you're
nice?
sinking. I hate to tell you this.
Sinking. Lovely
Okay,
picture.
so Rick, he threw the gauntlet down.
Mm-hmm.
Through the
Explain
gauntlet.
yourself.
Explain yourself,
Explain
sir.
yourself. Got some explaining to do.
Yeah. So I remember seeing that on the pilot controller glossary, and I remember seeing where else I've seen that. I did see it in the AIM, and I have asked the question to air traffic controllers, at least here in the States, and they've said that as well. And their reasoning, the way they explained it to me, is that the visual approach is basically a visual maneuver as part of an instrument procedure, but it's a visual maneuver, and you need visual minimums for that. And so for jet aircraft, pattern altitude is 1,500 feet above the field, right? And you haven't received your missed approach instructions as of yet, and so what you are to do is, fly straight ahead, maintain at least 1,500 feet until you get your missed approach instructions. Be it, I don't know, join a downwind again, or contact departure, and then they'll vector you back around, or whatever the missed approach given to you is. But initially, yes, the procedure is straight ahead and 1,500 feet until you get detailed missed approach instructions post your visual approach.
So it could be that is your airline's policy for doing that. Not sure that it's...
What is yours?
The 1,500 feet thing. Because we at Atlas... No, not Atlas. Acme. Starts with an A. Acme, for the last couple of years, have been going all over the place with this, changing our procedures every few months regarding what we do when we're actually cleared for a visual approach if we have to go around. And for decades, we've just always put in the underlying approach missed approach altitude. So usually it's an ILS. So whatever the ILS missed approach altitude is, that's what we put in our altitude select window. But then we went into the period of 1,500 feet above field elevation, that era. And we did that for a while, and then they said, oh, yeah, never mind. We've done some more research on that, and that's not right either. And so now they're basically telling us if we're on a visual approach, just climb to the minimum safe altitude that's on your chart.
And laterally?
Laterally, just straight ahead. You're just going to wait for the tower to tell you, what. Now, this is just in a tower-controlled environment, not a non-towered environment. And that's probably more applicable for like joining a visual, because, I think a lot of people, and we've had this issue before on our show where we've talked about visual approaches and VFR patterns, and somehow they're always equated, and they're not the same thing. And remember the guy that was in the regional going into Muscle Shoals, we talked about that for several episodes, lots of points of contention on that one. But, so yeah, in a non-towered environment, going to 1,500 feet, pattern altitude and doing a VFR pattern would be the right thing to do. But, honestly, I think that it's really kind of a moot point. I think you'd agree with me, Rick, because in this case, most of the time we're on a visual approach. It's a towered airport. They're going to immediately, as soon as we say we're going around or they make us go around, they're going to tell us what to do. They're going to say, fly this heading, climb and maintain this altitude. I mean, I know in Atlanta for sure, you're on the north side, they're going to say climb and maintain 4,000 feet, turn right, heading 360. I mean, so they're just going to sequence you and back into the pattern. So, and that's if you're on the north side. Obviously, that would not be a good thing if you were on the south line. There you'd be like that Singapore 380.
Like that.
And we'd be talking about it.
Now, I'm pretty rusty, but I seem to recall, even if we're doing a visual approach, we are still on an IFR flight.
Flight plan.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So we would do the instrument.
But you're not on that instrument. But you're not cleared for the ILS approach.
Exactly.
You're on a visual approach. You might be using the ILS for guidance. Yeah. That's the thing that's really confusing about all of this, is that as soon as they say cleared the visual approach, that missed approach procedure that you have on your plate that you've briefed, is not really
in the
applicable.
box.
No, I know, but a lot of us will be, us cowboys here in America, we're probably going to be hand flying the airplane at that point. So, we're
still going to follow the box, even if you're hand flying it.
No, not necessarily. We're gonna climb and maintain the altitude to which we should be climbing. We're not going to fly the missed approach procedure.
If you're going to fly the published missed approach procedure for an instrument approach, you're going to follow the box.
Exactly, right.
Right, yeah, I agree with you there. But I'm saying that as soon as they say cleared the visual approach, that doesn't really apply anymore. Now, maybe a safe thing to do.
Which is why we always treated coming to America with a certain amount of stick your fingers in your ears and hope for the best.
I understand. I know it's an environment you're not used to. All these cowboys doing our own thing, in America.
There's still rules, though. There's still, and that makes good sense.
Yeah.
Like logically, just think through it.
What's that? What is?
Stick your fingers in your ears and hope
that's
for
a
the
good
best.
idea?
That's a very good idea.
No. That's not a good idea. Just saying, if you think through this logically, it's not difficult.
What's that?
What?
Okay. So what is the logic here then, Steph?
No, everything that Rick just explained, that you explained about, if you're on a visual approach.
Yeah.
What follows after that if you go missed?
I think that this is one of those things where, I'm not so sure. Yeah, who knows exactly. As I said, I work for a very large legacy carrier that's been around since 1929 or something. And we had arguments and discussions about this for a long period of time. And, so it's not very straightforward. It's
not
kind of a gray area kind of thing, I think. So, but
just rest assured, like Jeff, like you just mentioned, the second you go around, you are going to go around instructions because what are you supposed to do?
Even if you're on an instrument approach, chances are, even if they don't say, or whatever ATC directs, chances are they're not going to want you to fly the missed approach procedure because it's probably going to cause havoc for them. I mean, in Atlanta, if we actually did fly the actual published missed approach procedure, if we did a miss, they'd probably freak out. It's like, no, fly this heading and fly this altitude, because there are a lot of other things going on. But if you lacking any communication, you've lost comm or whatever, that's what you're going to do, because that's what they're going to expect you're going to do. But
exactly, and I do actually, and I can think of really flying the published missed approach to a procedure just a handful of times. Well, one of the times I can think of is where was this? I think this was in South America somewhere, and the radar was out for some reason.
Yeah, that's when it's important.
And so you can't, obviously they can't vector you around, and so you're expected to fly the missed approach, and you have high terrain all around you and all these kinds of things. So you go up, get to the holding fix, do your thing, do the reverse, will come back around and then land. But otherwise, like you said, it's very rare to actually fly a published miss. You're probably going to get a heading, an altitude, a frequency change, and we'll see you in 15 minutes.
Yeah, and 99% of the time you're going to see a published missed approach procedure or going to actually execute one is when you're in the simulator.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's real interesting. There's piggybacking on this visual approach thing. And this has worked out this way for a long time, and a lot of people haven't noticed this. So if you fly into Miami and you fly the ILS to runway 9, in one of the notes it says that you're not allowed to use a coupled autopilot to fly the ILS. So if you're going to fly the ILS, you have to do it manually. However,
for the whole thing?
Yeah, for the whole thing. That's a big gotcha on a lot of line checks.
I'm not saying that I ever did that.
But the trick to get around that is you request a visual. And if you're feeling lazy, you just
leave autopilot connected.
Leave the autopilot on, leave a couple up, and you're on a visual approach. Exactly right. So and so that's on 9, and then I think on the north runway the limitation is you can't do it below 500 feet or something like that. But for runway 9, you can't couple the autopilot to the ILS through the entire procedure.
And people out there are wondering why.
People out there probably are wondering why because
the signal.
Exactly, the signal, and you have to remember that at the very end of runway 9 is the intersection with runway 1, 2, and the ILS critical area is not properly protected, and I'm sure it's outside of standard somewhere, and so just to keep it safe. But Steph's looking at it right there.
Sure enough, it's right there. It says autopilot coupled approach not authorized.
Yeah. There you go. And then in LaGuardia, landing runway 4 from the final. Now they may have changed this, but when I was flying up there, the last time I was flying up there a couple of years ago, anything inside the final approach fix, you have to hand fly. It says coupled approach not allowable. Once you're at the final approach fix inbound. Again, because of things that kind of bend the signal.
Bend the signal, exactly.
Yeah. But anywho, cool. Great discussion, but I'm afraid, Rick, because Dan sent this in, and we're just going to have to let you go, I think.
It's been a good ride.
It's been a great ride. Just kidding. Dan, thanks for putting in your 2 cents worth. We do appreciate that. And great photo of you and your family. Your wonderful, cute daughters there. That's cool. All right. Let's jump to 9 because Captain Rick is still here. Oh. Hello, APG crew. I hope everybody is doing well. In episode 466, Captain Rick mentioned that Acme Giant might be getting the A330 freighter. This opens up the possibility that Miami Rick could one day be an Airbus pilot. I spit out a perfectly good IPA when I heard that.
That's a wasted IPA. Oh my gosh.
Alcohol abuse.
Just the thought of him having to peel off all those Boeing stickers from his gear brings a tear to my eye. Not to mention the patches on his flight jacket. He might as well just get a new jacket. I'm sure the possibility of moving from a real airplane to the Airbus has kept Captain Rick up many a night after he heard this news. The only upside I can think of is that the Airbus would have bigger displays than the 767, and at age 40, his eyes must be having a hard time.
They are. They really are. I would pull out the readers now.
Wow. Ramiro, you're a funny guy. Then again, episode 466 was the April Fool's show, so maybe he was just playing a cruel prank on us listeners. Thank you all for the great show. Blue skies and tailwinds, except on short final. Ramiro.
Yeah, it's the latter. Definitely the latter. God help me from Airbus ever. So.
Well,
just consider the strain on your eyes going forward.
Exactly.
Now that you've reached 40,
I know.
I think he brings up a valid point.
Yeah, I'll start flying around with magnifying glasses or something.
Well, that's essentially what you have to do, actually.
Seriously.
Sadly.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you guys, Steph, Rick, you laugh, but the last laugh will be on Nick and I and Liz.
I test every once in a while. I'm like, good.
Yeah. You'll find yourself pinching those displays, trying to make the letters bigger.
You know what? I did that the other day.
It's there already.
Just a matter of time.
What?
Slowly, you're going to start increasing like the font size in your text messages until you get to the point where it's like one word, one word per line, basically, and you can read it from like the other side of the room.
You have to really concentrate when you're reading email like that.
Oh, and you start half closing your eyes to try and make your eyes focus
you're
better.
Squinting. Yeah, you're squinting when you're trying to see the stuff on Jeopardy. I can't read that.
But no. Staying on the Boeing for as long as I can, hopefully.
And hopefully they'll put big screens on those things.
Yeah.
They are actually, right?
Yeah, they are. It's called the LDS, a large display system. Yeah. It's actually really cool. They're 787 size screens, and they no longer have the two dedicated screens between the first officer and the captain, the two ICAS screens with all the engine information and all that. Now it's two big screens that kind of meet up in the middle there, and you have all your information in there, all the fancy displays and symbols and colors.
I love it.
And stuff, so
I love it, Rick. Still playing catch up.
Just like the
abuse will never end.
In my version.
Jeff's got fancy displays. Yeah,
I know. I am now the one that flies the dinosaur around.
I know,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what? I'm not going to make fun of it because I still miss the old display. I actually really do.
I told you.
Well, I know I should have gone with the 7576, but okay, let's do. It's water under the bridge. Nothing I can do about it. Moving on and all that kind of stuff. I will just momentarily take a quick pause. Rick, I want you to try something, and I'm not fooling around here. Don't do it until I tell you to. But I think that little weird stuff that's going on with your mic is happening again. I think it's a USB thing. So if you disconnect the USB cord to your hub for like 5 seconds, like you're resetting a circuit breaker, and then plug it in, we'll see if that helps.
All right, let me do that now.
Go now. Yeah. Hello, Gregorio Costa from Chile. Great fan since many years. That's cool.
Nice. Welcome.
Well, it's nice to have a great fan instead of a big ass fan.
We have one of those too.
I don't think our big ass fan is with us today, though.
He is not.
Is he?
Yeah. No, haven't seen him.
Yeah. Oh no! Shoot! I shouldn't have told him to do
He's
that.
probably muted. Are you muted?
Oh yeah, you are. You got to mute.
No?
You got to unmute yourself there on the screen. What's it called?
StreamYard.
As soon as I said it, I went, oh, that's not.
You guys been drinking or what?
Okay, I'm on my second beer. Okay,
Yeah. A bit
I
worried.
Arrest me.
I had a few beers before I got here. But...
Yeah.
Although flying the other day, definitely not drinking. Landing on the same runway. He's landing on which is runway 5. All of a sudden, I was like, final runway 5. I was like, where did 2
5?
come from? Like, I just like. They're probably
Having
like,
trouble?
are we landing
Well, you know,
at this airport? I was like, yep.
2 and 5 look kind of similar.
I wasn't
They're,
even. I'm looking at the. No, I don't know. It was just sometimes
I don't
you go
think
to
it's worked,
sometimes you go to
Jeff.
say something and it's just
well,
like
he's not talking at all. Rick, say something.
He's typing.
Hello. How's it?
Yeah, there he is.
Oh, wait, he's
how's it,
back.
sound now?
Nice,
Sound good?
excellent. All right. Yeah, I think that may have done it. It's one of those weird things that some of the USB chips after 1 hour start doing weird noises, audio noises.
is it a surface pro issue? Oh, the police are coming.
No, I think it's just a USB thing, depending, and it doesn't have anything to do with what you're plugging it into. I think. What is it I missed, Nick? What did I miss, Nick?
Steph said, "Are the police coming?" And you went, "No, I think it's something to do with the USB chip."
I could just hear the sirens in the background. I don't know whose background that was.
Surface. I thought
That
she
was-
said
that
Well, I
was
was
mine,
talking about the surface, but then I moved on. I moved
Here
on.
in Riverside, everyone commits arson at 10 to 4. So
I see.
that
It's
time of
arson.
day.
Arson hour. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Yeah.
We're all counting on you.
Arse.
Okay. You know what? And I don't care if it goes over 3 hours. I really don't. Maybe everybody
Liz
else on
wants
the
to
crew
save
does.
some feet. I mean, I've only been
good.
here for like 2, so let's keep going. I'm good.
And Nick is going, God, please stop.
No, I'm all right. I've got another beer yet.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Excellent. All right. Oh, by the way, and again, this is still not on the. Well, it actually might be in the show. I might just leave all this in. I watch a lot of different YouTube channels, and one of my favorites, a couple did a live, like Q&A kind of thing, ask us anything sort of thing. But I'm not saying you can ask us. Well, you can ask us anything you want. We may not answer it.
An AMA show, that would be interesting.
Yeah. But I
Dangerous.
think it would be kind of fun to do an APG AMA.
Huh?
Did I do that right? AMA,
Yeah.
Ask me anything. Okay. So what do y'all think? I think, not necessarily something that we publish as a podcast or anything, but just a YouTube thing. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
No problem.
Yeah,
at
no
all.
prep, just lots of beer and opening up
wing it.
and telling you things that probably we shouldn't tell you.
And probably you don't want to know about.
And probably you don't
Exactly.
know. Yes, TMI. All right. Anyway, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay. All right. What? 6. Thank you. You don't have to yell at me.
6!
I don't think that was Liz's voice. I think that was Steph that yelled at me. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were yelling. No.
Okay. Well, you just thought that was a thing? Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Steph. All right. Hey. Is Glenn still with us in the...
No, I think he's died.
Oh, shoot.
What?
Well, he is in New Zealand, so, I don't know what time it is there. Yeah. Well, and I think, you know what? It would be Saturday, so he probably doesn't have to work, so he might be with us. Anyway, Glenn sent us some feedback. He says, wondering what you guys think of airship. This is 6, by the way. Oh, that's right. Everybody yelled it. Wondering what you guys think of airships and flying taxis. And so here we go. We're going to hear Glenn's Kiwi accent. And if I can find it, here we go.
Hello, APG crew and fellow APG syndrome sufferers. It's Glenn here from New Zealand. It's been a while since I've done any feedback, but I've just been seeing stuff on Twitter. It's just like, really?
Glenn, next time use your good mic. Okay, here we go.
So there seems to be a bit of a debate on the subject of airships. I mean, really? I mean, if airships were really actually any good, wouldn't we be using them right now? I mean, they've been around since the days of Montgolfier brothers, I could say. So I just wanted your guys' opinion on, freight moving stuff by airship. Is it really ever going to actually happen? I actually went to a lecture once at the Royal Aeronautical Society here in Wellington. Some guy was trying to convince us that there's going to be tourist airships being used in the South Island, a place called Queenstown, where a lot of tourists like to go when there's no virus and no pandemics. And he He just tried to convince us all that we should, it's going to happen, that he's going to start this wonderful company and everything's going to be wonderful, great. And it never happened. I've heard no more about it. So, yeah,
5 years. 5 years.
Your thoughts, and also the other one is good one is unmanned aerial taxis. I mean, really, they always seem to be 5 years away.
5 years.
However long you say, whatever time they say, it's another 5 years. Oh, air taxis will be here in 5 years. No, I don't think so. Anyway, curious to know your thoughts. Keep up the good work as always. Tailwinds and unlimited IPAs. Glenn out.
I can drink to that.
Yeah, I've got a nice one.
What you got?
Oh. I've got black sheep, more black sheep.
5 years, Glenn.
You know, any damned flying machine that can't fly faster than the wind or outclimb a downdraft is never going to work. It's just going to be a liability. I'm sorry.
I'm offended at airlinepilotguy.com.
I mean, the military have found some use for gas-filled sacks, haven't they?
Well, you know, I think that Alpha Bravo Charlie is really kind of.
I'm offended.
I'm sorry, Alpha Bravo Charlie, for the offensive comments.
Yeah, well, that is the exception to the rule. But generally speaking, I think the military hang radars off them, don't they, and string them up over
they're
places.
Stationary.
Yeah. But if you're going to try and fly around too much, I mean, if you're doing something like the Goodyear blimp does, then you look at the weather and you go, no, we're not going to go flash our adverts over this stadium tonight because the wind's going to be a bit high. But if you're trying to actually perform a real useful function and get cargo from A to B or passengers from A to B, you can't just go, it's a bit windy, we won't fly tonight. You're supposed to be able to go and do your thing. And they, generally speaking, it's very dangerous if they try and do their thing when the weather's a bit iffy.
We're not going to be able to go to Montreal tonight because the winds aren't blowing in that direction.
Yeah. Or we got more than a 30-knot headwind,
Yeah.
We'll end up further away.
Yes.
Well, tonight's flight was supposed to be to Montreal, but instead we're going to go to Washington, D.C. instead.
Exactly.
No, Toledo, Ohio.
We found somewhere much nicer to take you, honestly. You're going to really enjoy it there.
Yeah, that French-Canadian stuff. Yeah, it's highly overrated.
Sure, you didn't want to go there anyway.
You didn't want poutine, the fries and cheese and...
Yeah.
Oh.
Good question, though, Glenn, because I think you nailed it, though. It's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be.
Yes.
Jeff has confidence.
Absolutely.
I have
5 years.
confidence.
Yeah. In fact, we've made a note of the date, and in 5 years' time, we will revisit this.
Yes, we will. Somebody put that in the book.
We will.
April 16th,
Community calendar.
2026.
Right there.
Okay.
2026.
Yeah. Hey, why don't we go to number 8? Larry sent us in a picture of the electric Airbus. We're talking about electric aircraft.
That is so cool. Look at that.
So if we can put that on the overlay.
Eat your heart out,
yes.
Boeing.
Look at that. I mean, brilliant. I mean, why didn't we think of this before?
I mean, you have to fly at a height of like 50 feet.
It's not going to be.
That's perfect. What fun would that be?
That's what they mean. That's what they mean by fly-by-wire, huh?
Fly-by-wire.
Yeah.
Fly-by-wire.
What is that hanging off its nose wheel? I don't quite understand what that bit is.
I think that's the right wing tip.
The gear's
so
up,
it is.
Nick. Gear's up.
Sorry, the picture's a bit blurry at my end.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're over 40.
Wow.
Yeah, well,
Move into the other side of the room.
You'll soon find out, Steph.
Let's see. What do you think, Liz? Which one should I do next? 7? Okay. Let's do it all. How did I miss this? I missed something because I had some. Okay, here we go.
I think we all tried to miss it, Jeff.
I know. Oh. Well, you know it. You know what this little musical interlude means? We've gotten something from Ivor, or Tarquin. This is from Ivor. Dear all you lovely APG people, but particularly the handsome Jeff. Thank you, Ivor. You know, he does that just to make sure that this is going to be included in the show. Smart man. Most people, though, do that to Liz, but thank you, Ivor, for considering me as well. I write to you with congratulations on your recent show, the one with Mr. Max Trescott. This isn't to suggest that your other shows are in any way inferior. Well, maybe some of them. I mean, honestly, feedback from cats, what's next? Anyway, I digress. Mr. Trescott was, I believe, on your show to promote his latest book. I still have it right here. Steph, I need to send it to you.
I was going to say, I thought that was supposed to be in my hands.
Okay, well, I'm busy. I have things to do.
I understand. It's okay. I wouldn't have gotten around to reading it yet anyway. I've been busy too.
Okay.
It's fine. No rush.
Anyway, his latest book, that was very kind of you, and he has a beautiful speaking voice, but forgive me. Is his latest book about glass cockpits? And if so, why does this merit a book about it? I'm sure you guys and girls are aware all cockpits have glass in them. I mean, how would you see out to take all those great photos? I'd imagine they'd come in handy for the tricky takeoff and landing maneuver. Nonetheless, you were very kind and patient with this author. Thank you. Yeah, we were, I thought. Sometime in the not-too-distant future, I may have a book to promote and was wondering if it would be possible to come onto your outstanding show and do a tiny bit of promotional work on my grand tome. My contender for everyone's bookshelf is a collection of stories from the aviation workplace. My working title is Eek! My Underpants Are on Fire, and Other Tales from the Cockpit that you shouldn't really hear. Actually, that would be a funny book.
Sounds very true to life.
Yeah, Eek! My underpants are on fire. Obviously, as a work in progress, any hair-raising tales you would like to share would be greatly appreciated. I can offer you full anonymity, as this would secure...
Sorry.
Okay, I've only had 2 beers.
I know.
Anonymity, as this... but I have trouble with that word even when I'm not drinking. As this would secure your... like Nick has with statistics. Say it.
Statistics.
See? As this would secure your continued ability to work, and I would get away with paying you royalties. Looking forward to publishing my magnificent book. Wow, he has a high opinion of his work. And hopefully getting on the world's premier aviation podcast. Love and kisses from Ivor.
Very nice.
Yeah, he is sucking up, Liz, for sure. But no, honestly, that would be a great book to read. And I think it would be actually a bestseller. And sorry, Nick.
I mean, it's really all in the title. If you have a catchy title, people just aren't going to be able to pass it up on the bookshelf. Eek! My underpants. And, suitable cover artwork to go along with it would be
Oh, yeah.
good.
That's true.
You're going to have to contract Nick for the artwork there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I
No,
That's good work. We can loan them to you.
Yeah.
That would not be a good idea.
I charge Welsh people extra.
And he's in Wales, right? Is that where he's living?
Uh-huh.
I
Like
believe
just over the
so.
border?
With a name like Ivor, he should be Welsh.
I know. I don't think he's a Welshman, but I think that's where he's living. I don't know. Ivor, maybe you can straighten us out on that. Anyway, moving on to 10. Last but not least. Okay, I got to get ready for this one. All right. Been listening to the show for... Oh, hi, AVG crew. This is Paul. An interesting aviation-related find. Hi, AVG crew. I've been listening to the show for a couple of years, and I still love it. Thanks. He still loves it.
Amazing.
I just realized that was kind of a backhanded compliment.
Over time, usually people stop loving it. It's just
that's right.
all out of love.
That's wow.
We understand. It's okay,
That was very nice.
Yeah.
They become allergic to it. That's
Well,
all
it's part of the syndrome,
The APG syndrome, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, thank you all for spending your time creating it. Y'all may have already covered this at some point on one of the billion or so previous episodes. I know it seems that way, doesn't it? But I thought I'd still mention it anyway, just in case. I was listening to Spotify the other day, and it recommended a relatively new song created in the past few years by an artist named Gary Newman. I kept thinking to myself, that name sounds familiar, but I couldn't remember how. So I went down an internet rabbit hole and discovered that Gary Newman created the famous song Cars, released back in 1979. I was just 4 years old at the time.
What? What?
I
was operational Flight the Phantom.
I was like 19, I think.
In fact, I nearly finished my first tour. Oh, God.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
I know, you weren't even born.
You were still swimming backstroke.
This is why my eyes still function with all their capacity.
Now, if you listen to the audio-only podcast stuff, you'll hear Liz say, "Shut up, Steph."
I expect nothing less.
Okay, well, not Gary Newman. Paul continues. But even more interesting is that he is apparently quite the accomplished pilot, apparently having flown around the world in a Piper Navajo in 1981. Wow. Among many other accomplishments. He seems like a very interesting person, perhaps Plain Tales material, Captain Nick? In hindsight, I feel like his hit should have really been called Planes. Actually, I think he did. I got this from this album, and I think that he did do a song about planes or airplanes or something like that. Oh, wait. Nick, in your Plain Tale today, you said you're not supposed to use the word just planes.
No.
Didn't you?
Well, it's considered gauche in the higher echelons of the aviation community.
Sorry, Paul.
So my father told me.
That's not here.
Well, I suppose that's fair enough. I mean, to be fair, I use it quite common, but quite often. That's only just to bring myself in line with the general population.
With the silly Americans.
And those two.
Okay. Well, thank you. We do appreciate that, sir.
Mm.
Anyway, he says, thanks again for the excellent podcast.
Why do you do that anyway?
What?
Call them planes.
Because that's what they are. They're planes.
They're planes.
They're not.
Sometimes they're airplanes.
They're planes that are in the air. I know, airplane, but, we shorten everything up here.
And sometimes just aircraft, but never aircrafts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
how about, instead of
Big
casual, we do cash.
Who says aircrafts? Because I'll slap them.
Well,
it happens.
It happens.
It definitely
we do have a lot of people that send in feedback.
Right, well, you better queue them up outside my house because they're all due a slapping.
Just like all those deers that are around Steph's place.
Deers.
And mouses.
Mice. The mouses and the deers.
Anyway.
Yeah? Okay.
Liz? Oh!
What was that?
Yeah, let's do
noise?
it. Let's do it. We're making a command decision. Liz is saying, let's do this. We're going to go a little bit over from our normal, because I think it's only fitting because Steph and Rick weren't here on the last show. So let's do that. Yeah, we're going to punish them.
That's what we get.
Okay, number 11.
Good. About time too.
I just pulled this one up, and it is lengthy.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for
Fair
noticing.
enough. Go ahead.
Where are we going then?
Okay. 11. All right. This is Alan from Tallinn.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. I know it's not Tallinn. It's Tallinn. So, okay, Aline from Tallinn. My first feedback. I know, it's Alan from Tallinn, but I just think it'd be more fun to be Aline from Tallinn or Alan from Tallinn. Don't you think?
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you for your report. Hello, Captain Jeff, Dr. Steph, Miami Mike /
I don't know who that is. That's my evil twin, I think.
I know who that is. This is like, I feel like he's been listening to older episodes.
Oh, I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's Miami Mike?
It's Rick's evil twin. Remember?
Okay. Oh, yeah. No.
Wasn't
Captain
it
Nick.
Hyleo Mike or something at some point? Or wasn't that a
Oh,
thing?
it could be. I know
I think so. I
Miami
think you're
Hick,
right.
but that's not Mike.
No,
I don't
no,
know.
different.
I don't know. Alan has really confused me, but it doesn't take much to do that. Okay. Hello, Captain Jeff, Dr. Steph, Miami Rick, and Captain Nick, and Liz. Greetings to the whole APG community. Wow, he said hello to everyone. Finally, after several years of listening to your wonderful podcast, I've reached the point where I've decided to send you my first feedback. First, a few words to introduce myself to the community. My name is Alan, and I am from Tallinn, Estonia, an IT engineer by my day job, but also an instrument-rated commercial pilot. And as the most recent addition to my aviation-related achievements, just this Monday, I also passed my flight instructor skill test.
Hooray!
Very nice.
Good
Way to go, Alan.
job.
All right.
Love it.
I've been flying since 2016 when I started with my private pilot training. So not that long ago, 5 years ago. It was a couple of years after having received a demo flight lesson as a birthday gift. That gets a lot of us, actually. The idea that I could fly an airplane was planted on that day. Interestingly enough, it was only about 10 years ago when I had my first flight ever on any aircraft. It was a holiday trip to Greece. Before that trip, I was highly convinced that airplanes are an extremely dangerous way of traveling, and I would definitely use ground-based transportation whenever I need to travel for the rest of my life. But
Very
those
sensible.
very sensible, actually. But those first experiences opened my eyes, introduced me to the world of aviation, and I quickly became hooked. So when I was 30 years old, I decided that I had to take action and at least get the PPL license, with a plan to then decide if I want to take it any further. We have a saying in Estonia that the appetite grows while eating. When put into the context of my flying endeavors, meant that after having received my private pilot license, I quickly decided that I definitely wanted to go on. A year later, I went for my ATPL theory training in Bristol, followed by instrument rating back in Estonia and a commercial single-engine training in Germany. The idea was to move towards a commercial aviation career, but COVID has imposed some adjustments on my plans. Luckily, I got the offer to start as a part-time flight instructor, and I'm really excited about it, even if it wasn't in my initial plans at all. So I decided to send you this feedback today because I recently found an interesting article, which I will link below. Usually there isn't much noteworthy going on in Estonia, at least what comes to aviation. But a few years ago, there was an accident in Tallinn with an Airbus A320 making an emergency landing with both engines badly damaged, one being on fire, and neither one producing any significant amount of thrust. The result were minor injuries due to heavy touchdown on unprepared surface and a total write-off of the airframe. But overall, the crew managed to handle the situation well and avoided much worse possible outcomes. Luckily, they managed to glide the airplane back to the airport, even though the touchdown was short of the runway. In my opinion, the article is a very interesting description on how a minor fault in the system, combined with human factors, led to an extremely serious situation. A perfect example of let me say that again, because I'm going to have to try to edit this and it won't work very well. A perfect example of a Swiss cheese case. I just finished listening to your discussion on Airbus system redundancies in episode 467, and that article is a nice follow-up to what you discussed, because it describes one case when a crew experienced a sequence of flight control computer failures and had to fall back on mechanical backups like controlling pitch angle via trim wheel. It would be interesting to hear what the experts on the AP... Are you the experts here?
I think they have the day off.
Yeah, I was gonna
it's
say,
a Friday. They don't
so
work on
late.
their contracts.
They've gone home for the weekend.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
contract
past
is
3 hours.
They record on Tuesdays.
All the experts are gone. Anyway, what the experts on the APG panel think of this. By the way, this accident was also briefly covered by you in the APG episode 315 shortly after the event.
How does he know that?
Because he's an astute APG
Estonian. Yes.
Estonian, yes. But by now, much more thorough analysis of what happened is available. I will also link the official investigation report below. I think that that's it from me for this time. I hope there will be a day when I can also meet you in person. And if you should, for whatever reason, ever happen to be in or near Estonia, I would be very happy to meet, greet, and show you around. But until then, I wish you all the best. Alan from Tallinn, Estonia. I would love to. I hear that Estonia.
Oh, it's beautiful. I've been to Tallinn. I've been to Estonia, and next door over in Latvia and Riga. Oh, all those countries.
Beautiful, I hear. And I hear the women are just gorgeous. Yeah. Not that I would notice. I don't notice that kind of thing. So he sends us this link to an article from Admiral Cloudberg on medium.com. And I won't read the whole thing because I know we're already over by a few minutes for today's episode. But and maybe it would have been better if we kept this for a future show, because there's a lot in here, and I'm really, really interested to hear what Nick has to say.
Should we leave it
this.
as a teaser for the next episode?
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's
Stay tuned.
We wanted to make sure, because I think isn't Alan here with us in the live audience? I think he was. Didn't you say so, Liz, that he was here? Oh, you did not say that. I don't think I would have started this if I had. Oh shoot! I misunderstood what you said to me. Yeah, not. Well, I know you said Glenn was, and we got that one. Yeah. So obviously, in addition to my eyesight failing, my ears are failing.
Your ears are going too.
I'm just a mess.
All downhill from
hot
here.
Mess. Well, here, that is a teaser, because I really do want to spend some time with this, because I was just amazed at, because I do remember us talking about this shortly after it happened, and we're going like, what the heck happened here? How did they lose their flight controls and engines and everything else? And wow, how did they manage to get that thing back down on the ground and nobody got hurt? Well, some minor injuries, but I think, everybody lived through it. And the airplane, at first they thought was going to be just fine. It looked like it, until they inspected it a little bit more closely, and then they realized that there was so much damage to it that they had to write it off. And I think it's now being used as somebody's emergency, like special forces training or whatever, like how to do a commando raid on an Airbus 320. But anyway, really, really interesting stuff. And it all started from another little teaser, the wrong type of oil used to lubricate a very small, like, backup cylinder in the pitch system.
It was a micro switch, basically.
Micro switches, yeah. And it's, I think, wouldn't you agree, Nick? Very, very interesting how all these things lined up.
Sadly, I know nothing about this particular flight control system because it was a very early one, and bears little relationship to the ones that I flew. But I had a read, and I think we could probably talk about it. It is an interesting one. It would make quite a good plane tail, actually.
Yeah, it probably could. Should we not even talk about it then?
No. Let's talk about it. It's more fun that way.
Okay, let's talk about it. We're going to talk about it on the next show. So
excellent.
Particularly when he gets the gear up and then plunks the airplane back on the runway and wrecks both engines. I think that's quite an exciting bit.
Yeah, but I think that at the moment that all that was happening, it was like he couldn't really nobody could grasp what the issue was, and I don't know.
Oh, well, I think they had a fair idea on account of the fact they'd had multiple failures, which they just blithely reset. And
God's gift to Airbus pilots here.
I'm going, you had how many primary flight control failures and then reset it and carried on regardless? What?
Why? Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for another week.
This is going to be a good discussion. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah, Nick's got some
anyway,
opinions.
Thank you, Alan. You're on 2. Your one piece of feedback made it to 2 episodes of APG. I mean, I can't think of anything that would be more important in your life, except for maybe marriage and birth of children and other things. Okay, so it's not that big of a deal. Sorry. Okay, let's tell you about, it's wrap-up time. This is when we talked to you about going to the website, airlinepilotguide.com. Oops. There you go. It's on the screen if you're watching us on video. AirlinePilotGuide.com is our website, and it has a lot of information there. Information about the crew, the community, Nick's enhanced and expanded information regarding the plane tales. We have the APG library. Pardon me? YouTube link for the show. APG library, our librarian Tiffany manages that. Thank you, Tiffany. We have merchandise. We have information about the coffee fund. The APG community calendar is there as well. All that stuff and more is there. AirlinePilotGuide.com. Check it out. And we're also on social media, and I like to call it, because I'm an old geezer, social medias.
None of the kids call it that anymore, but
I
that's
know.
cool.
That's all right. I'm not a kid.
But if you're a fan of the social medias, you can find us on Twitter, twitter.com, or the app on your phone, or wherever you choose to access that wonderful site. We are at APG Crew, and we've got all of our individual Twitter information pinned to the top of that page if you would like to contact us individually. You can also head over to facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. Lots of community interaction there, folks hanging out, sharing different aviation topics and ideas. And sometimes I share Captain Nick's wonderful artwork to our Instagram page. That's APG Crew on Instagram. And if you want a deeper dive into the community at large, might I recommend Slack?
And none of the kids are there.
No, that's definitely not for the kids. That's
no. All right, let me turn on the secret hidden microphone in the... Hey, hello! Hello, Slack! That's all right. I know. But, just grab a towel.
This is my private time.
Sorry.
Would you let me finish a poo for once?
Oh, my. You probably should have done that before you did the shower. All right. Well, he's going to tell us now about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and plain tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thank you, Hillel. Always great to have you tell us about Slack, and thank you so much for setting that up and managing it. And let's see. Oh, well, of course, we can't forget about the most important person on our crew. And that, don't laugh, Liz, we mean it. The most important in our crew is the person that you hardly hear unless you're listening to the audio-only podcast, and you can hear her very witty little quips. And that, of course, is our producer-director, Liz Piper in Ontario, Canada.
All right,
Thanks, Liz.
Yay! Thank you, Liz.
And honestly, she does a lot of work between shows and while we're doing the show. So, oh, shoot. I need to set that up so it fades out instead of doing that. Oh, well. Thank you, Liz, for everything that you do, and I really mean it. And we love you, and we love all of you listening and downloading and giving us reviews and all that jazz. And until next time, wishing you all clear skies and limited visibility and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Cheers, y'all.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Title suggestions. Liz says she doesn't have a lot of title suggestions.
Sauce and sticky fingers.
What's that?
What was that from? Was that something
Well,
in the
I know
news?
where the sauce came from. I'm not sure where sticky fingers comes from.
Oh.
Yeah, after sticking them in the sauce, I don't know.
I guess.
Aircrafts.
Airbags.
Airplanes and aircrafts. Nick's like, shut up. Nigel, it starts next week. Come back like Thursday or Friday next week. We'll get started on the show.
Nigel, you're not funny. Oh. Is
GR,
Robert
I
Hoffman,
was
is this your first time that you were here with us on the live show? If so, probably won't see him again.
No, he's like, that was a waste of 3 hours.
Yeah.
Never getting back.
Gonna do that again. Never gonna get that time back.
Yes, Nigel, you can go to bed.
Colonel Blimp.
Good night, Nigel.
Yeah, it's late.
We thought you were going to bed
bedtime.
like hours ago, so we're not sure.
Yeah, he was
Or at least-
halfway there to bed. I don't know whether he's probably in bed now listening. Colonel Blimp and the APG crew. Good.
Okay.
Did you have a Colonel Blimp in the, in your history?
I mean, Alpha Bravo Charlie might be Colonel Blimp. Yeah, that's what we should call him, actually.
Yeah, you have a new name.
Yeah,
Sorry,
because you
we've
didn't use your real name.
We've decided. We saw your real name, though, on the video. I was going to
that's
call it
right.
out, and then I decided maybe you didn't want that or intend that. So
Yeah, Nigel's in bed, like he said. So.
Nigel, hey, love you, man. Thanks for
checking
being
in,
there.
checking on me for what?
Who's checking on you?
Nigel.
Oh.
He said just checking on you, Steph.
Checking you out.
Oh, Robert's listening. Of course, it's an hour ahead in Germany, so nearly 1:30 there.
I didn't know he was in Germany. Hoffman, I should have known. Wow. Well, I hope that you don't have anything important to do tomorrow.
It's a night owl. Wow.
Plain
Yeah.
tales with the word plane crossed out.
How do we do that? How would I
Like
do
it.
that for the title?
Well, you can use the line through option on your font.
Good point, Michael Kuipers. Why do you call it plain tales, Nick? Doesn't that kind of violate your little rule there?
It's my father's rule. And I say that to honor my father.
Oh, sure. I know. He throws that thing in there, the emotional thing.
Yeah.
Nice
Counter
play.
that one.
Well played.
What's your Thank
I
you.
don't have one.
Yeah,
Never mind. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else. And Mike shouldn't have mentioned that.
40-year-old eyeballs.
Oh, man.
40-year-old eyeballs. Blimp. Blimp is fun. Blimps are easy to illustrate, I would imagine, right? APG Blimp.
40-year-old
APG gas
blimp.
bags.
bunch of hot air.
Yeah, exactly. Gas bags, hot
Gas
air.
bag.
We can play with that. Every week we blow up the APG Blimp on the show. Liz, that's a little bit of kind of a long title. I'm going to have to veto on that one. Sorry.
Nigel's still messing with his sticky fingers. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
wondering
what's
what he's doing
What is the
in bed.
reference to sticky fingers?
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Was it from the news? Did I must have missed it when you were
Well,
talking
I
about
don't
the news.
know. Didn't
It was the sauce thing, right?
the
Yeah, I think
Rolling
it was the
Stones?
sauce.
Didn't Rolling Stones have an album called Sticky Fingers?
I think you're right. I think they did.
Sauce thing. What was the sauce thing?
Broken tow bars and blimps. Broken bars and blimps. That's better alliteration, Micah.
Broken bars and blimps. Ooh, I like the alliteration. Yes. Broken bars and blimps.
I said I had sticky
Interesting.
fingers. What did I say that?
It depends which kind of
remember.
bars we're thinking of.
No, I think you said you had stinky finger. No, you didn't
What?
say that either. No, I'm just kidding.
Stinky
That's
fingers.
worse.
That's worse.
I don't want to
know, a
know
lot
about these
worse.
stinky fingers. Thank you very much.
Smell this.
Yeah,
I don't.
that's horrible.
it's-
What
I
kind
have
of
no
school did you
recollection
go
of
to?
whatever this was.
An American one.
Yeah, okay.
Lead balloons. Okay. Oh, you know what? Liz is.
I think Led
suggesting-
Zeppelin beat us to it, Glenn.
Liz is suggesting that we end the broadcast.
Oh, she's such a killjoy.
Nick is tired, she said. Nick needs to go to bed.
Is that because I'm being silly? My mother
Yes,
always used to
you're
say
being
that.
silly.
You're being
You need to
silly.
go to
Go to bed.
Well,
This isn't. I mean, being on APG isn't too different than just being reprimanded by your
Being a
parents. when you were
9-year-old
younger.
again.
Yeah,
Yes.
basically. Brings you right back to your childhood.
Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for all the suggestions. Thank you for hanging in for the whole show. And we're not kidding when we say we really love you. And you're an important part of our show every week, so we do appreciate you.
Yeah.
And, well, we'll talk
all
about
of us except for Nick appreciate it.
That wasn't me. I've got a damn new chair, Nigel D. So it doesn't make a squeak. It stops squeaking, you deaf old bugger.
I think he made a comment earlier that it wasn't squeaking anymore. So
it's like Nick's squeaky chair he's just written. I'll show you. Look there, see?
Yeah, I see it. I mean, I believe you. I see it myself. But
I spent a lot of money to buy a non-squeaky chair just because of Nigel's complaints.
We do all appreciate it.
Hey, we aim to please around here.
Nigel.
That's right.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, with that, we're wishing you a great weekend. It's already, for a lot of you listening and watching, it's already the weekend. So have a good one. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye. Bye, everybody.